Hello, welcome to the Megatational ladder for, well, this is week one. Uh, Thank you so much, Dunka, for putting on this tournament. We have Gem versus Telethar, and so this is Dunka's Megatational. We don't do things lightly here. It is not only entrance, it is the megaist of entrances, as we're off for Insanity entrance. This is going to be one heck of a ride, and for credit or blame, we get to thank Jem because he was the one of the two people who actually picked this mode. And here we are. He even gets to play it versus Telethar. Korik, how's it going? Are you ready to talk some entrance here?
This is great. I'm trying to keep up with what's going on screen, but it's tough. Telethar's doing the classic in and out until he gets stuck, and Jem's like, "Hey, I can get an item here. Let's do that." So
Yeah, very fair.
it's tough to keep track of this. We'll do our best, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of interesting things to discuss. Gem and Telethar are both titans of the current rando scene, I would say, but maybe not so much Insanity as a mode. I don't know if anybody really is.
Well, we do have a couple people that have Insanity Survivor Discord Flare. I mean, of course, this was probably back in the days when, in this case, they did not have a whole season of Insanity entrance on ladder to practice, But that being said, I don't know how much practice this will actually do good for anybody. I mean, because just as you said, it is all entrance, except in this case when you saw Telethar kind of going in and out. Entrances can in fact lead to other entrances like in the same segment. So not a connector won't necessarily just kind of drop you off in like the middle of nowhere. You'll probably have to go take multiple times in order to figure out where the connector ultimately takes you.
Yeah, broadly speaking, where you enter and where you exit are going to be different places. Now, there's always a small chance that, you might end up in the same place for a connected entrance. Like I think the expectation would be like one of those would happen that way. But for the most part, you're just going to be going in and out, ending up in all sorts of different places in the world. Now, the single entrance caves, like so your normal item caves like Blind's Hut, Hype Cave, or just like Snitch House left or whatever, those you'll enter and exit at the same place. So it's a lot to keep track of. And there can be really weird things like maybe the only way you can get to an entrance is by going through a connector and then going back in the entrance there that you spit out of. So yeah, there's a lot our runners will have to keep track of. We'll see how well they do.
I'm very nervous. So actually, I guess like, do you know if there's, I don't know, I guess like any shortcuts potentially or anything like that? Because I know, like, for example, if you're gonna try and map out everything just in in like cross keys or something like that, right? Typically speaking, you really only care, like you only just try and write down the things that like matter to you, right? Like connectors, or maybe like important like where dungeons are and stuff like that. Is there any way to kind of shortcut this in Insanity, or you just have to literally write down all the things, like all the connectors? And just hope that and just I guess like because you never know, I guess maybe you need to like you need one later.
Right. So for things like connected entrances, it's generally the best practice to come up with a method of tracking the loops you're in. Now you could do that by like keeping a spreadsheet and just writing it in. You could do that with any of the map trackers that allow icons. Some people just put like the same icon next to where that entrance is to like designate a little bit of a loop. So
Okay.
yeah, it is whatever you do, it is still kind of tricky to to keep it all straight.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me, I guess, like when people kind of like first started playing entrance, just like regular entrance, and it was maybe maybe a little bit before the map trackers were like became more common. Is that a lot of the earlier stuff that people kind of like probably struggled with or trying to get a mastery of was in order to try and do a good job of bookkeeping, right? Make sure you don't mismark entrances. Make sure you write down the things that are supposed to be. And if you end up making a mistake, that's definitely a lesson that you're going to learn the hard way. Kind of feels like almost like Insanity is kind of getting us back to those types of I'm going to relearn entrance type of situations.
And there's things that you don't really know how much you take for granted, but in entrance in general, like getting resources is one of those first key goals that people have. But even in Insanity, like that becomes a bit harder too. Like there are some things you can control, like Link's house is still going to be a Link's house, but you might not have like the same access to the same things that you normally would. We do see, you know, Gem and Telethar both have been checking drops. That's always a big thing because, well, one, the drops are one of the most item dense spots in any form of entrance. So if you find the well, if you find, in this case, Sanctuary too, you can certainly get some quick items. And in Insanity, it also serves as an exit you might not get to any other way. So you could get some additional information that way.
Right. So in this case, also Insanity for the drop downs, like they're not necessarily only limited to I guess like the 8 overworld, right? Like can you find a Skull Woods one? Like
You absolutely
in
can.
Light World?
Yes, and that goes obviously the other direction too. So Skull Woods has 4 drops, and you know that could be the location of all of the dense Light World drop downs. So you could have Well and Sanctuary and Uncle. They could all be there in theory. And it's kind of a pain because, you know, Skullwoods is out of the way in general. It can be even more out of the way in this mode if, like, your only way to the Dark World is going in and out and ending up in, you know...
oh, that's true.
Yeah. It's... Yes. the drops can be very difficult to manage sometimes.
Yeah, so it does actually kind of look like, at least for this case, like Telethar and Gem are kind of like, I don't even know if it's possible to converge, you know, in Insanity Insurance, but kind of do see, in this case, like Gem and Telethar kind of covering each other's tracks. Maybe Gem is like lagging just a little bit behind of wherever Telethar is kind of going on, but yeah, and in this case, you also mentioned in terms of like resources, we haven't really stumbled upon anything that can really like get us any more ammunition. Like a bomb shop would be really good, right? But at least in this case, they do have stumbled upon some amount of money.
Yeah,
meanwhile, Telefar's found GT too. That's
yeah,
pretty nice.
so GT is at the ferry going towards Eastern Palace, so that's something to remember. I think it was the tier 1 tree pool is red rupees. It's one of the tree pools anyway, so that is very useful. Of course, we need a place we can actually spend that for something useful, but hey,
that's right. That's right. Never hurts to be prepared. It's just like the Boy Scouts. We actually do see that. Well, so we're getting, you know, kind of slowly up there as well in terms of heart and health. They don't have a mirror quite yet. So right, in terms of like big ticket items, you know, at least for, you know, regular cross keys and stuff, you're always looking for, well, a mirror, probably one of the biggest ones. Probably well, boots in this case, but and so especially for Insanity, we would really kind of like to see that flute show up because I think you mentioned before, right? Sometimes the only way to kind of get to, let's say, a place you want to go is maybe in the middle of a connector, or sorry, 3 sets of connectors, right, in order to get to where you are. And then if you end up dropping down somewhere that you kind of end up having to like sit and quit out of your soft locks, a flute would be really helpful in order to get you back to wherever you were.
Yeah, absolutely. We did see that Gem found Mini Moldrum Cave, which is a great find. The only problem is he does not have the resources to get the items. Maybe we'll get some luck here in Chicken Hut. That's probably not going to help, but it is a key for Pod.
Yeah, well, yeah, not so far. But however, you know, if we do find Pod, we can get more bombs. Somehow, where I don't know, I don't quite remember where Gem ended up picking up those 3 bombs, but I mean, that is certainly quite beneficial. Like, just like any other time, you want at least kind of like 1 bomb to your name, just in case you stumble upon something, right? Like, Chicken House or maybe a Gina, you know, where you basically want to spend a bomb. You know, probably Hype Cave is going to be another one.
Yeah, so Telethar has found a shop here it's on the bridge, the Turtle Rock Bridge now.
Great.
Okay, that is a connector. So he went in and out. Oh, he used Fairy Cave as a connector. So that's how he got to the bridge. But it looks like there might be another way there too. It's hard to know though for sure because these loops can start at any point. So. Boy, there's always a lot going on.
Yeah, this is quite a lot to keep track of. Hopefully, in this case, the like both Gem and Telethar are trying in this case to, you know, do their best to remember. But speaking of, we also do see Agina on Telethar's side as well. And yeah, luckily, you know, it was very fortunate that he stumbled upon that shop because otherwise we would have absolutely no way in order to access the back.
Blue Mail's a great find too. Okay, so Gem's not going to hesitate. He'll pay the premium for 10 bombs. He definitely needs them right now, and that's well worth the price.
Actually, you said that we found Mini Moldrum Cave on his side, right? So is that more of an incentive to go back there since he has weaponry now?
As soon as he gets locked out of something, he will be going right to Mini Moldrum Cave. There's very little doubt because it's the cave. It's like Light World Hype Cave, so it's so
Yeah,
easy for him to get back to.
Being said, we have every confidence that he's going to be able to take down the mini Moldorms in 10 bombs. I understand that, you know, he has played a lot of spoiler, which, you know, bomb mini Moldorm is probably one of the most common forms of disbursement for the mini Moldorms. That being said, though, it is never something you look forward to. But hopefully in this case they'll behave. Ooh,
Oh, we see Blindside on Telethar.
yeah, this is
so
actually
that's
super nice as well.
great.
Yeah. Anytime basically you walk into something, you know, the 5-item cave where, you know, you have at least one bomb, it's super great. Because, you know, to get some little bit of hopium, oh my gosh, dude, so nice. We have a sword.
I guess I lied. Jem is not going to get his mini Moldorm cave. I'll see where he is going. But yeah, that sword is super nice for Telethar.
Mm-hmm.
And he also gets to get 30 rupees. He was coming into Kakariko a little bit short for Bottle Vendor, but now that is no longer a problem.
Out of all the things to remember, that's right. Like, regular things like the Bottle Vendor, that's just kind of sitting down in the overworld. That is a thing. Do you know if the tavern is the same? Like, is that always still
back at
still
tavern?
static?
Is still back at tavern in this mode. I know indoors that gets shuffled sometimes, but for Insanity that's still the same. And we do see Pod now.
Yeah, it looks like so the Cat Pod was when the bomb shop of the Lightwood in Kakariko. Right, okay. So we're gonna come in here with 0 small keys. He does not have the pot small that Gem has currently in his possession. Maybe he'll mimic clip out like for the right side. I'm not even sure in this case like how familiar he is or how comfortable he is, but we're just gonna leave after the shooter room.
Yeah, and we end up still in Kakariko, actually, which is kind of nice. So he might just go straight for the Bottle Vendor before checking more entrances, since it's a guaranteed item, or not. He'll just play a... I think like prioritizing known items is a pretty good idea over entrances in general, but you know, everybody has their own preferences.
Yeah, and maybe in this case he could just I mean, I guess in this case because there are entrances that are worth tracking, or like they're just they don't go anywhere, right? So probably just a bit more efficient. You take the
Yeah, but we didn't know that at the time, right?
Oh yeah, right. I mean, right. That's the chance that he takes.
Yeah,
I mean, and you know, and like I don't know. All right, okay, well, okay. How much practice has both Gem and Telethar done in Insanity entrance? Okay, so apparently Telethar has done a few scrimmage seeds before this, after he found out that he was lottoed to play Insanity entrance versus Gem. So maybe, you know, he's got a better sense of, you know, like level of aggression. That being said, that in order to advance into the next round of the Megatational, he does have to beat Gem by more than 7 minutes. So I don't know if he's gonna try and like be a bit more aggressive to try and save a little bit of time. This is really stacked well, by the way. We have GTVK and flippers.
Yeah, Telethar found a vanilla well, which is quite useful. Also doing the tracking march there, where you're tracking and you're just walking into a wall. It's very common. No worries. Probably won't be the last time we see that in Insanity here.
We're back to Mini Moldorm, by the way, on Gem's side.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Gem did something a moment ago that is a pretty heads-up play, but it didn't work out for him. He tried it Super Bunny. And he ended up in the back of Skull Woods just like Telethar did. That's where Ice Rod Cave is. He tried to get hit on the same frame he would enter the door, but it didn't work out, so he just had to save and quit anyway.
All right. Actually, yeah. So this is also, by the way, talking about heads up. So Gem spent basically all of his bombs, and he basically got nothing out of Mini Moldorm, so he's just gonna actually just reset. So he actually gets all of his inventory back, which is actually really great.
Yeah, very heads up. Yeah, he went through 9 bombs.
That's right. Yeah.
Very average Mini Moldorm cave.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a slew of, in this case, like dungeons just across all of the loops and connectors. So,
and you see Gem doing a very typical thing, like he had a place he wanted to get back to, so he was just jumping in and out till he got back to where he was going. That's something we will be seeing quite a bit as we move along here. And Telethar finds Paradox, which is always a great find.
Yeah, and he has a sword from Blind's Hut. I mean, like, yeah, he also has 9 bombs to his name, so sure, like, bombs would be great. But I mean, any type of permanent weapon, at least in this situation, is really in any situation, is will make your life significantly easier. And while we're, I mean, yeah, like I think you mentioned the tier 1 tree pool is money, so we can get some more ammunition like bombs because we know where shops are and stuff like that. But man, it takes just so much more pressure off of basically you having to go buy them, right? And so much more time. So you can basically just disperse them.
Yeah, I guess one thing, Telethar was in Kakariko. That's where he got the blind set that had the sword. You know, like typically you think in entrance or in any mode really, because Kakariko is just a dense location, right? So you would think, oh, you should prioritize it, but like density takes on a different meaning in Insanity because anytime you go in an entrance, you could end up somewhere else. So it's kind of like more.
Right.
You know, it's like the smartest play is to just go in the nearest entrance if you don't have like a plan. Like no matter where it is, just go in the nearest thing. Yeah, if you have a specific place you're trying to go that you know how to get there, then that's fine too. But so it could be a while before we see Gem get to Kakariko and get that sword.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right because I mean I think even in non-insanity, you know, people have different philosophies, right, about taking connectors, especially in Kakariko, versus kind of exploring out the rest of this of the village or wherever you want to go. But in insanity, those type of decisions are kind of amplified a bit, and you have to basically just accept that you're going to be maybe teleported off, right, to somewhere completely different, and it is up to you in order to be able to keep track of all the things you have and haven't done.
Exactly. Now, one thing I touched on earlier though is like in all forms of entrance, knowing, like having known items is like they always have a high value. So even in Insanity, you do have things like Bottle Vendor, you have Back of Tavern, you have Hobo, you have Zora, like things that like you can go to that location and get an item. So maybe because of that, we will see these guys head back to Kakariko. I don't think Telethar did the Back of Tavern when he was there, and Gem obviously hasn't been there at all. So.
Yeah. No, I think you're right about that. And yeah, like eventually maybe, and I think this also maybe comes up with just regular entrance as well. Some people try and delay Kakariko just because eventually something will take you over there, right? Eventually, whether it's a connector, whether it's, I don't know, maybe, we end up getting, well, we haven't seen this yet, but like the flute or something else that maybe, or more money, right? Such that you can actually afford Bottle Vendor or like, as a surety, right? Yeah. And so like, and maybe this is kind of like, in this case, maybe what Gem is also planning on. Like, but I think Telethar, I'm trying to remember if he actually deliberately went over to Kakariko, but
Okay, so Telethar is finding right side of Turtle Rock here with much better equipment than Gem did. So he's gonna come in here. I think he'll use that ether to make. If he wants to steal the key, he can use that ether. Like he already has two, so maybe he just says, you know what, I'm good. I'll just gamble it. Just not even bother spending the time. Who knows? Both are reasonable options.
Yeah, I was gonna say the ether is pretty good though here, right? Because like you do get to kind of freeze the Pokey in place, and then like we don't have a hammer or anything, right? But I mean, like it's not bad.
It makes it very better, but it's still slow. So he is stopping to skip it for now, which I think is very reasonable. It's always there. You can always come back and get it later. Obviously, there's a opportunity cost to it, but it's a reasonable decision, I think.
Okay, so I guess like in entrance, Insanity. I mean, and because like the connectors to Turtle Rock are still, I guess, like out in the wild, we don't need as many Turtle Rock keys, just like kind of like regular cross keys. Sorry, in terms of like convenience, not necessarily logic.
Yeah, you usually don't need them, but like I think I remember like an Insanity seed where you actually still needed to travel like through Turtle Rock.
Oh, really? Like from back.
These things,
okay.
Yeah, these things still happen. Like it's obviously, the logic still exists that you have X number of keys and that lets you get to Laser Bridge. So like if there's no other access to Laser Bridge, like if the entrance that sends you there is GT or something, then you still kind of have to do it, right?
Yeah, that's true. And
honestly, we'll just find Laser Bridge and that will be moot.
Yeah, so far, at least in the early game, Telethar looks like he's actually kind of stumbling upon probably some things that are at least immediately more useful, right? He's got a sword, he's got a swamp small, so he's got flippers, right? Red mail certainly is very helpful just in terms of like defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Gem and Telethar have both been approaching this like very well, but the luck so far has certainly been on Telethar's side as far as what has been found.
Oh, hey, look, we're back in Kakariko.
We sure are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. But okay, but you know, like this is rando. We have the goal is still 7-7, right? Which
That's
I
true.
I think, yeah. So we have found a good number of dungeons. At least I think I've seen at least through the scrolls. Saw the Beck of Desert, saw Mire, which Telethar can actually get in. Okay, well there it is on Mire on Gem side. Telethar can actually get into Mire now with the hook shot. Not sure if he does necessarily like wants to go in immediately. We don't have a fire source, and of course we don't have like a big key or anything. Not that maybe we want to defeat Beatrice on something like this. But you know, like we do have, you know, a couple options, but we have certainly a good amount of stuff that we have to go do. Thank you, hello chess game.
Jem found his way up here to the top of the castle, so he gets some good checks here. And Thieves Town was in Right Snitch House in Kakariko, but as we know, oh well, Jem found
Oh my
Hookshot
gosh,
Cave.
yeah. Yeah. So unfortunately, no boots for Jam, which means that we can't really access Hookshot Cave. Well, sorry, we obviously saw the inside, but we certainly can't get any of the chests. However, with that hookshot on Telethar side of on Laser Bridge, that is certainly very, very accessible. We actually do see that. Well, this is maybe one of the reasons why you kind of want that mirror. You always want the mirror in entrance, but you know, given that Telethar has red mail and 4 or 5 hearts at that point, probably against Beast, the Death Warp is not going to be worth his time.
We see Jem over here in the eastern area. I don't think we've seen anything up here yet.
Yeah, I don't think we've actually been over here. Well, so Telethar, right, who I think was coming over towards the Eastern Palace area, but then he got ended up, you know, getting distracted by GT, which is right outside, and then we haven't seen anything further.
Yeah, it looks like Telethar is doing some retracing of things that Jem has already seen. So maybe Jem will do the same and get to some of these good items.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it certainly does seem though, like Telethar's main venture, like the things that's kind of like separating Gem and Telethar is being able to, or is like the initial Kakariko visit. Because Telethar ended up getting a bunch of stuff basically from the front of the tavern, from Blind's Hut, the Vanilla Well, like basically where all of the items in this case has. Of course, there's also other stuff that Telethar has done, but that was certainly a big like enablement basically to get the rest of the stuff.
Every reason to believe that Telethar will do most of the things Jem has, although with the equipment he's gotten, it might be slightly faster.
Yeah, like this place. Yeah, it's like mini Moldrum. Oh well, we're trying.
I mean, it takes a long time for that hook
trying.
shot to go all the way up and down, you know. But I think it was still a bit faster there.
Yeah, and I think in this case, Telethar's probably not gonna save and quit or whatever hard reset, just because, well, he doesn't have to, and in this case, it basically just costs him a little bit of extra time. Yeah,
So
but basically he's gonna, yeah.
It looks like Jem, he has a plan to just get this whole eastern area crossed off his list. So he has one entrance over here he hasn't checked yet, and I think he just made a route just to check this specifically. Just trying to, you know, block out zones as having checked, maybe simplify the knowledge a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think it's very fair. Oh, okay, we do get brewery, which is the key too. Oh, okay. I mean, we have not seen the flute yet. Like, I mean, so I'm actually wondering, like, would you try and hold off for the flute, like just like and not do some like the like flute spot 7, like the dam, or you know like flute spot 5 in this case, where Gem was, or are you basically just gonna try and get everything like in one go?
I think, like what I said earlier, I think generally holds for my strategy, which would be like if you don't have a specific plan of something that you were trying to do, like going back to a dungeon or something, like just go to the fastest place to get to. So like going all the way to Flute 5, it wouldn't be my choice, but I can see why you might want to do it, because you know you're just trying to, you know, make what you have to handle a little bit easier to digest.
Okay, yeah, I think it's very fair. And also, right now, like, I don't know how Gem and Telethar are feeling. It's certainly a lot. It seems like to be able to keep track of everything. So maybe in this case, like, for what it's worth, no boots, no flute, no hook shot on Gem's side, kind of gives you a little bit of extra thinking time. Maybe in this case, it can, you know, kind of help, maybe help him make better decisions, just so you don't have to necessarily like act on impulse.
absolutely. Okay, so Gem is in the front of Skullwoods after going in Lost Woods. This is new, I believe.
Yeah, that's true. So I don't think we've actually been inside, or at least like North Light World yet. Yeah. So actually, yes, one of a really good example is, well, in this case, like you would expect Lost Woods to maybe get you to Ganon, or like the well, or any of like the Light World stuff. No, we definitely have all of Skullwoods here.
Yeah, and it's really fortunate that he had found a Skullwood small key because if he went out that door, he would not be in Skullwoods.
Oh yeah,
He would
yeah.
be who knows
True,
where.
true.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
having that key lets him get all these other items and
Mhm.
probably check that exit for us and see where that ends up.
I'm gonna
These-
assume that in this branch, like it's always a vanilla small key here in Pinball Room. I guess I don't know the rules for that.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
in entrance it just is for
Okay.
like non-doors.
Okay, that sounds good. At least there's one other piece of static information that we have. Something, something to keep us sane in this, well, not sane mode. Yeah, so it looks like Gem is still going to just temporarily at least avoid the village. We're gonna go at least check like the Vanilla Sanctuary entrance locations. I mean, eventually I'm sure something will eventually take him over to Kakariko, but until then, we're basically just going to, well, keep walking. I
Yeah,
mean, but
this
before
is,
it's, yeah.
this is something that can trip people up with Insanity. It's the only real mode that puts entrances at the drops, at the drop entrances. So, a drop is always a drop in, the regular entrance modes. But in Insanity, you could find a dungeon there. You can find,
Oh, yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So,
Mhm.
if you're like not used to that way of thinking, you might not ever like check the Lost Woods stump and it could be like the dungeon you need, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. No, that's actually a really good point. Yeah, I actually totally forgot about that until you actually just kind of brought it up. Yeah, that's just probably something that I don't know if you necessarily to unlearn, or basically you can't just autopilot your way into doing the drop downs, or basically, yeah, you have to basically make sure you have everything.
Yes, we do see Gem walking towards Kakariko, so maybe he's going
Finally.
to be starting those
Yeah.
entrances as much as he can.
Mhm. Yeah, and I was gonna say that it doesn't really actually seem like, so outside of that hook shot, and of course, Telethar also got the Meyer big key, but like kind of outside the hook shot, we don't really have many more movement items that that Telethar kind of has over Gem, like no boots, no flute, and given that Gem was also checking kind of like newer stuff, it doesn't really seem like he's gonna be too much of a disadvantage basically by going to over these places later with better equipment, because it doesn't seem like right now better equipment exists.
Yeah, Telethar is getting the advantage of being able to check Hookshot Cave the first time. Now, there wasn't anything valuable here, but at the same time, Gem was probably going to end up prioritizing coming back there once he finds a hookshot, which it takes time.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that seems to be kind of amplified a bit in this mode, just because like if you do see a location, in this case like Hookshot Cave or Mini Moldrum Cave, it seems like if you have a targeted location, like the trek in order to get back to that one specific thing, could be a bit longer than just like a simple like just like flute to 5 or like take this connector over. So yeah, I definitely understand. Like it's much more efficient to be able to just take it out in one go because you don't ever have to come back.
We see Gem spending a lot of time in this dark room. I wonder if it's the old man rescue. I not sure, but
I guess because yeah, I'm not sure how fast he's moving. He also is not, I guess, giving us any type of like homing or radar blips in here, so we can't really tell. But hopefully he'll just make it out of the dark room eventually, and then we'll be able to see out in the overworld.
yeah, it is indeed the old man.
Yeah, nice.
So that's one thing that Gem now has over Telethar. He'll have a new saving quit point, which can always be useful in entrance, and especially in Sandy, because you also get extra exits. You get a new loop that you haven't been on yet.
Yeah.
So I think Gem might be checking that right away, actually.
I guess for what it's worth, like, so I believe Gem has played one Insanity Seed before this, which was when he was part of the Mystery Pog Jam tournament last season, maybe this one before, and I think one of the reasons why he at least credited his loss to was never checking Old Man. Like apparently something's very important there. I don't remember quite what it is, but that was the thing. So very glad in order to see in this case there's no mental damage done.
Yeah, he's taking advantage of this entrance here. So it is just a single entrance. Since they already have access to East Death Mountain from Sanctuary, there's not much else he can do here right now. But he is going to check the back, which is also a very, very good option.
Yeah. And yeah, especially in this case, we are still looking for any type of something that does open up, like kind of that gives us basically more access, right? We have no, yeah,
we have nothing.
we have a hook shot. We have the Meyer Bicky. I guess we can try to go into Meyer that we've seen, at least on Telethar side. But yeah, no mirror, no flute, no boots, no glove, no hammer. Like. We got a couple medallions, I guess. Gem doesn't have a sword, but I guess, what did we, what was the Turtle Rock medallion? Ether. Oh, never mind, we can't get in. Okay, never mind.
Telethar came out in West Dark World and opted to go for the vanilla Dark Sank location. One thing that people like to do, I think, especially if they have good drop downs, which they haven't found yet, which I think we haven't found Sanctuary yet, at the very least. If you just find yourself in bunny mode in West Dark World, just going to one of the Skull Woods drops that you can actually get to is often a very good choice, because maybe you just end up with 3 items you can bunny for. But I mean, obviously, you can just go to the nearest entrance too, which is perfectly fine. We do see the front of Hyrule here, which will be a few more items.
Yeah,
see if there's anything actually useful.
Yeah. Well, right, and I'm pretty sure Telethar was over here earlier, but I don't think he had really any type of weapons, like, or offense or anything to his name. Ooh, we have a big key of Thieves Town. Okay, so we can't go to the back now. Whether or not he wants to, I guess it's maybe kind of up to him. We don't have a small key, we don't have a hammer, but it also could be, maybe we need something from from like the attic chest or from like blind cell or something, which would be kind of unfortunate in terms of logic, but I mean, it is an option to him. But at least in this case, we have a sword, we have hook shot that was well, at least used somewhat in order to get us past a couple extra tiles a little bit faster. Okay, is this going to be the time that Gem makes it into Kakariko?
Well, he's making his way there. I don't know if he's checked the fortune teller here yet. Okay, I guess he has. So we're moving here.
Okay, so we are finally going to be able to maybe, and he's actually coming in here with a good amount of money as well. So we're gonna be able to definitely, yeah. Looks like he's actually just beelining it to the bottle vendor. So we have actually all 3 medallions, at least like between Telethar and Gem, and if only, and then he'll be pretty happy to go get that sword as well, eventually.
He is in the well, which is great, but it will also, I think, take him away from Kakariko again.
Oh yeah, that's also true too. We're gonna come right.
Yeah, if he comes back, he might come back if he's gonna like prioritize back a tavern or something. Who knows? Getting those flippers, maybe he'll prioritize Hobo. I mean, it is an item.
We are. I don't know. Do you think he's gonna try and actually do a couple more tree pulls, like, in order to try and get Zora?
Yeah, I mean that's a very good option. If you do that and then do all the flipper checks, you can get 3 guaranteed items. That's nothing to sneeze at. Right now, they're looking for anything, right, to just give them a little bit of, optionality. Like the pearl would open things up so much, but even other things like a glove, a mirror, the pearl is the big one, I think.
Yeah, it does really seem like, though, the pearl actually just might end up being buried a bit. I don't know. Like, well, just because it seems like it's... Okay, we can't control where the items are placed, but at the same time, if the pearl is going to open up, I don't know, be that convenient, I don't really feel like it's going to be the next thing that we find.
Yeah, I mean, that's... it's a decent bet. For sure.
I'm definitely maybe expecting, okay, what am I expecting in Insanity? One, I have no expectations, so maybe I shouldn't even say these words, but I mean, like, it's like, it would be kind of nice to have maybe like a glove that would open up a little bit more at the very least. But I guess we're gonna have to see like what ends up giving us kind of like the next piece of progression. I mean, it could be a hammer. We did find Mimic Cave earlier, and maybe the Mimic Cave, in the back leads to something, that opens up things a bit more as well.
I mean, it could be those flippers. We haven't seen either of them try to get a payoff, although it looks like Telethar might be going for the flipper payoff now.
Yeah, because he actually has a bunch of money, and so he can actually afford this case Aura. I don't actually think anything in Minimotor would have helped Gem out in this case. I think maybe like 20 to 40 rupees at best. So the reset, at least from what I remember, is not going to be a big issue.
I'm not sure where Telethar got another 300, but I'm sure that's what it was for the most part.
I think it was from Thieves Town. That's what I want to say.
Yeah, that makes sense. Getting that hobo check. Yeah, all the value that hobo always has.
That's right. That's right. Well, he didn't come here in the first 5 minutes, so Boost definitely won't be here.
Right.
Yeah, but we are kind of seeing this case, right? So at least like for the, I would say like, well, all throughout the scene, certainly, one, very important thing is to basically, be diligent and, don't get impatient. Make sure that all the information that you keep track of is accurate for Gem.
Gem's having a very, very consistent mini Moldor fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was rough. Oh, we see the mire area, obviously as a bunny, but that doesn't mean it can't be required.
Oh yeah. Bunny walking is definitely no stranger. I mean, it's not exclusive to just like cross keys, or any type of entrance. It is very much in the cards for Insanity. I'm still waiting, basically, for one of those, like, you stumble upon, like, Hype Cave entrance or something, where you have to go talk to the Hype Cave dude for your pearl, and then, come back out.
Yeah, this could always be interesting. Okay, it's a small key, so sometimes you'll find a drop this way, and it'll be something like really useful, like a bow or a glove, and then you're just like beelining it to every single drop, like one drop at a time, and then it turns out to be one you can't get without the pearl or something.
Yeah, it's even more tempting in this case because, yeah, like you mentioned before, the drops and the whatever, the entrances, right, are decoupled. So, yeah, like, it could be just, like, very tempting, right? It's like, oh, man, I see boots. I don't know how to get them.
Yeah, I guess, speaking of the decoupling again, another point with that. So we saw Telethar come out of Mire. Now, if you're in, like, a normal entrance mode, you, like, come out of one of those places, you're like, well, I guess I don't need that medallion, right? Or I don't need to open that up. But, the Insanity, you do probably need to open that up at some point.
Yep.
It's just, you have to think about everything just slightly differently than you normally would.
Yeah, it's definitely a different type of, well, it's a mega way in order to play entrance, right? And, I think you do have to have the expectation going in that, sometimes, like, there's certainly no harm, or there's certainly no shame in, making sure that the information that you have for the connectors of loops are correct.
So I don't know if you caught what just happened with Telethar, but so the front of Hookshot Cave is the front of the castle, and he went to check where the back of Hookshot Cave led him to, and it was the front of the castle.
Oh, really?
That was great.
Oh man. Well, okay, at least we could just kind of, write that connector off, basically. Okay, I don't actually think hints are on either. That's what I'm assuming. I don't actually but I guess I don't remember.
I don't think they are.
Alright, looks like Jeff's got to finish up the Mire area as well. Most notably, even in this case, we had the Pearl. There was no way for Jem to open up the Mire entrance, even though he does have the medallion. Keep in mind that we also still do need a sword for all of the stuff to actually work, which, yes, is still in the bottom half of Kakariko, which, again, in Insanity entrance, it is extremely difficult basically to stay in one location or one area. Unless it's Hookshot Cave into Hyrule Castle, in which case it's apparently very easy. Hey, look. It's always kind of, like, cool in order to see, at least on the restream, right? To be able, like, in Insanity entrance, you don't ever really expect runners to kind of be on the same screen, or the set of same screens, and yet, like, it does happen every once in a while.
Yeah.
I think we're also kind of seeing in this case that Jem at least has taken. I think we're gonna see like the uncle to the top of Death Mountain Descent. I don't know. What do you think? Over under 25 times the scene. We've already probably been there like 7 or 8.
Yeah, that's very useful. And it looks like Jem's getting his Zora money here, so you called it. So he'll definitely be making his way there before too long.
Yeah, something happened, I think, with the first Buzz Blob. I know that Jem tried to throw a sign at it, and then I don't actually see what got in the way, but it definitely, like, the sign broke without killing the Buzz Blob, so in this case, it looks like Jem had to go and take another thing for his victim.
Game's weird.
It is. Okay.
Gem has found
If
Beast Town.
he has, if there is actually 300 here, he might be a bit more annoyed. But I think this is the case where Telethar ended up getting his money. But if not, all of his money farming would have been worth it.
Well, he's just, he'll have enough for Pod after that.
Oh yeah, that's
pearl
also true.
That's coming, very, very soon.
Right. Any minute now, we're gonna get something that does open up the rest of the sea. Just it can even be like a little trickle. I'm also good with that.
I mean, realistically, they still have a lot that they haven't done. I know that sounds crazy because they've been walking around for 40 minutes, but there are places they haven't been to. They've been to the West Dark World, but they haven't dropped into every drop in Skull Woods. Although I'm not sure right now if there's. We saw there's a small key that could be in Logic.
From the Feast Down?
Did we get Lumberjack? I don't remember seeing it, but if we might
I think we saw one. I don't think we got the actual item though. I didn't see that drop down.
Yeah, so we can do stuff there. We can do Zora. We can do. I don't know if they've been to any of the entrances in the Ice Rod Cave area.
Yeah, I think that hasn't. Yeah, I was even thinking about like the rest of South Shore as well. I don't think anyone's actually walked up over there either. Maybe seems a bit less appealing, and well, just because we have literally nothing. Like we don't have a flute in order to get us to 8. We don't have a glove in order to get us to like the other entrance.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Everything is awful right now. I'm not saying they should have done these things. I'm saying like he might be going on a while before we find actual progression, because there's still quite a bit here.
Yeah, and I think also like I think you also made up a good point, was that we've been walking around for 40 minutes, and probably certainly at, in even like just like regular entrance or cross key seed, right? You kind of expect, like even though we don't have any real movement things, we probably expected to exhaust most of the light world or connectors or whatever. Keep in mind that this is Insanity. Like you saw how many times that Gem and Telethar have gone through basically the same set of initial connectors just to try and get anywhere. To no avail. Oh, okay, cool. We got Ice Rock Cave at least. It's 5 rupees.
Yeah, well set up there. Gem immediately recognized what situation he was in and pulled it off pretty well, but just 5 rupees. So, we are seeing a. Oh no, not seeing a Skull was dropped. Never mind. False alarm. We are seeing. Okay, so Telethar could have opted to Bunny Revive there. He does have Bombos and a sword.
Yeah, I was actually wondering if he wanted to do that. And yeah, anytime basically where you see, maybe like Gem and Telethar kind of standing still, it's either because of tracking or just trying to figure out where in this case they want to go through. I would be very surprised in this case if anybody decided to, I guess, throw in the towel.
I mean, sequence breaking Ice Palace is not really fun, I suppose. But at the same time, there are some items he could have grabbed there, and they could help you, Okay, so we have gotten Lumberjack.
Oh, okay. All right. In this case, yeah.
That's good to know. Gem is checking out Desert here. First time we've seen any of Desert.
Yeah, and we actually do pick up a very convenient compass. Okay, I mean, I know that, like, it is a bit of a meme sometimes to have compasses because they don't necessarily seem to have, very much use. I mean, again, in viewers doing Sanity entrance, it is just another point of familiarity, and if you have 15 other things to keep track of,
so Gem's faced with the Insanity choice here, where do I check an exit that's different from the one I came in, or the same one? So there's definitely different schools of thought here, but he just opted to come here. Let's see. He is going for a drop, okay. And he ends up where he's already been.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think nothing's standing in his way to get to the 2 items in Zora's domain now. I think every entrance along the way he has checked, so I think that is where he's going.
Okay, so this is
up here. I don't know if anybody's checked the stump there yet. I might have missed it, but
I want to say that Gem had, because he was already over there, and he definitely checked this area. But I guess maybe, man, like I want to say that he has,
though,
right,
so
and then he got taken away. Yeah.
So yeah, it's an open question, I think. We see a boomerang, so that's not really what we're looking for, especially since we already have one.
Yeah, and certainly at this point, I really don't see Jem ended up picking up something extra at this point. Like, he is probably pretty good with just like the regular, the red boomerang.
Yeah, absolutely. That that's a little bit too far for just a maybe slightly better replacement. And so nothing here in Zora's Domain. That's one thing off the list, but you know, still
Yeah,
some
yeah, but
more
I
fun
feel like
things.
our list isn't very big right now. It like, isn't it? Or I don't know, or maybe it is. Like, but I guess it just takes a while for us to get through the
Yeah,
list.
that's a problem. Like, there's still quite a few entrances out there, and they're just all terrible to get to. We haven't found any loops that take us closer, like
Mm-hmm.
all the Ice Rod Cave area, except like even Kakariko. Gem's heading back to Kakariko now, I think, and even that's just like it's a bit of a slog, right? Like it's
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're absolutely correct. It actually looks like in this case, like Telethar also didn't check the stomp in Lost Woods. So okay, so my guess is probably then, I mean, unless Jem went back to Lost Woods like another time, or we're going back right now, to go.
no,
No, we're
yeah.
not. Never mind. We're going to Kakariko.
See, it's one of those things where it's like
Yeah, yeah.
it could like for some reason that stump in Lost Woods out of all the exits, like all the drop exits, like I don't know, that's the one that just gets me whenever I play. Like it just hangs out there and I just forget to go back to it. I don't know.
Somehow we have picked up 4 Turtle Rock small keys on Jump side. I don't know how this was possible because, well, I guess we have 4 of them on Telethar side too. I guess it's just been super plentiful.
That's really
But
funny because I don't think there was anything good in the Vanellope key chest. I forget what
no,
Telethar
it
found there,
was
though.
I think 100 rupees maybe, or some.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was something very very useless. Have we done head key?
I think Gem has. I
Okay.
might be
Well, this
wrong.
was the. All right. Well, there's at least Gem's hook shot.
And it's
No,
Gem's
yeah.
like, okay, there's just
Yeah.
hookshot here for the last 45 minutes, and
Mhm,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Exactly. All right, we did actually pick up a small key to Thieves' Town, which I don't think in this case Gem has found, because that is certainly one more piece that we needed for the back of Thieves' Town, in addition to that big key that we have. I'm
Okay,
talking about more
that's pretty
keys, more
interesting.
key.
Yeah. So that puts now instead of one item in Logic in Thieves Town, we have 3, which makes Thieves Town a pretty attractive option, all
It
things
is,
considered.
yeah, it is certainly very dense in terms of, well, you have 3 items versus I don't know where else you're gonna be.
We have the pyramid here, so I don't think we've seen that yet.
No, I think you're correct. We have somehow we have not been able to make our way over here quite yet.
Oh,
Ooh,
okay.
interesting.
I
All
mean, it
right.
doesn't do much right now, but it's a decent pickup. I mean, in some ways, it's one of Gem's best weapons. I mean, the hook shot does some stuff, I guess.
I'm sure he would have loved to have the hook shot for any of the mini Moldorm caves. I mean, we did see in this case maybe, you know, it's not like a surefire, just because we saw how long the hook shot extensions can take, as demonstrated by
I mean,
Telethar. But
he
I
would
mean,
have
still,
loved
like,
that ice rod too. I mean,
oh yeah, that's true. Yep.
like either one would have been great. Okay, so he's already exited this one, so he might choose to go somewhere else. Yeah, he's gonna bunny revive and pick a different exit. It really
So I
doesn't
guess
matter which one he
are.
goes to, but the right side is closer, so maybe he'll do that. And yeah, I guess we're both in desert.
Yeah, and I guess in this case, yeah, he needs to bunny revive because we can't actually get past these pots. I mean, otherwise
Okay.
we probably wouldn't spend all the time basically trying to death warp.
So we
bunny
don't
revive.
know yet if it's important, but Telethar did exit out of the left side, and that ended up being one of the entrances that you can only get to by exiting. It was the right side of desert, and then it entered into Bumper Cave. So
Interesting. Okay.
it's unlikely that it's like hard required to do that, but there is a chance that you actually have to do that and then traverse Bumper Cave to get to something you need to do. Like that's perfectly like a logical thing where you would have to exit desert, go through, go in the right side of desert, traverse Bumper Cave. Like those are the kinds of things that can pop up in Insanity that are just really, really painful.
Yeah, when you say like it is perfectly logical. I'm just thinking like, man, we have some pretty generous definitions of the word logic. I mean, this is it is actually perfectly like it is perfectly within, yes, like the insanity logic. It's just that you may not necessarily think that it is. within logic is all.
It's just a thing that like you might not be considering, or like maybe it's just like really low on your list of prioritizations.
Yeah. No, that. Yeah, and again, I mean, I guess maybe this is why people might want to try and play one of these seeds every once in a while. Before kind of like jumping into, this as a tournament mode. I think Jem has played this once, and actually, I think he would, for what it's worth, like if he actually just had checked Old Man in his last entrance seed, maybe things would have been different. You can't really say these things. Telethar, he has actually gone on record saying that this is actually something that he, after trying it, he has maybe enjoyed it, a bit. So, I'm really glad at least to see these guys, just powering through the seat together.
Jem, it's been a while. Jem doesn't play a lot of entrants anymore, but there was a time when Jem was the champion of the first ever entrance tournament. Now, it wasn't insanity, I'll give you that, but a lot of the routing principles just, stay fairly consistent. And Jem is... It's funny because it's like outside of his element, but it's like not like just making efficient choices and being decisive. Those are things that Jem excels at. So even though this isn't what you normally see Jem play, it certainly is something he can.
Oh yeah.
And
that's definitely true.
Telethar is also he's been practicing and he's already very good at entrance in general. So this is a really good matchup. It's just, I think for the viewer, like it's really hard to get a sense for quite a while of what's actually going on here, and I think that's a fair assessment because it just takes so long for progress to get made here.
Right, and also I think it also kind of gives you it's much harder also to kind of tell maybe who has like the immediate or like a near term advantage. I mean, granted, I think that's kind of true in general about entrances because just because you're doing so much more exploration at the beginning, and trying to map out kind of like the rest of the world, but I think even more so with Sanity.
Yeah. And Jem, the high roll here from the left side somehow. I missed where he went in, but it's notably different from the way that Telethar got in here. We'll see. It looks like Telethar is going to do the back of Thieves Town. Like I mentioned, this is a really good option. It's one of the more attractive options they have. Like obviously the downside is unless you find the hammer back here, you're going to be leaving behind the big chest. But that's like kind of like a minor consideration when you have 3 unlogic items and a potential crystal that you can collect and just maybe start making progress in the seed.
Actually, before the 1 hour mark, that's actually something. At least for Insanity.
Which means it's probably going to be a pendant, right?
Yeah, that's true. However, if something is back here though, right, that is going to be quite good for Telethar, at least in the near term, because he is going to be the first one to it. I was actually gonna ask though, like, so we've actually seen some amount of like some number of dungeons being found, right? So like we saw Telethar kind of making the second foray trip into Pod. We've got Thieves Town that's kind of partially clearable. We have Mire that's partially clearable. Like, at what point do you kind of like try and stop doing more overworld and like connector stuff versus like just biting the bullet, I guess, and like doing an incompletable dungeon?
I mean, I think we're to that point, right? Like, I expect Telethar to do this, but the options afterwards are not great. Obviously, nobody likes to go into Mire without the big key, without fire. But it is 4 items, that you can't really overlook that. Oh, he has a big key now too. Never mind. So it's 5 items.
Right. Yeah, it is going to be 1 more item for him because he did. I ended up forgetting where he ended up picking up that big key. But I mean, like, it was somewhere that was not like super out of the way, is what I want to say. But I mean, like, we also did see him come across Ice Palace as well. Like, and you mentioned before he can also bunny revive. That's probably lower on the priority list for what it's worth because you don't have a pearl. However, like, you have a hook shot.
Yeah, I think for sequence of breaks like that, if you do them when you run into them, that's like one thing, but you will almost never prioritize returning to them.
Okay, yeah. That's good to know. Telethar also doing, like he remembers that he has no glove still at 50 some minutes in. Oh, look, hey, we're gonna picking up. Jem's gonna get his first sword. He's gonna be so happy. He's like, oh, I could have gotten a hook shot for Mini Moldar Cave. I could have gotten a sword here for anything at this point.
Yeah. Now, Telethar still hasn't found anything out of the first 2 items, but still got one more.
Can the hammer be on blind? Do you know?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely, because we have the smoky.
Right, right, okay. That would be kind of mean, by the way. I mean, I think that's probably true in any entrance seed, is if you end up counting the small key, you have to go all the way here to the back, and then there's no other option, basically, is to skip the big chest initially. Hopefully in this case it won't be too bad. This has been quite like the slog though, and just in terms of like we're basically almost 1 hour in, and you know I do think that both Gem and Telethar have been doing their due diligence and you know making some excellent progress in terms of figuring out where all the connectors are and getting a good sense of like the world. But man, in terms of items, like we have no real direction basically, other than you know just try and go for density, whatever density means.
Oh man, that's so we got no progression.
No.
And
And well, we
it's
got a green pendant.
Yeah,
It's a green one at least. Where is? Did we find Saha? I think the answer is no, right?
we have not found Saha
Yeah.
yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we found all of the interesting 5-item caves. We found Paradox, we found Hookshot Cave. We have not found the back of Escape. That's one of the densest things we haven't found. We haven't
Oh, good
found
point. Good
Saha.
point. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of density.
Yeah.
I don't think we found all the 2-item caves. I don't even know if we found any of the 2-item caves, come to think of it. Maybe one.
We found at least one of the waterfall fairy ones. I don't really
Okay,
remember if
yeah.
it was pyramid or just regular, but we definitely found one of them.
Yeah, so there are still a lot of very valuable entrances to find. Oh, I guess one thing, we haven't found Ganon yet. Ganon is always a little bit of a search in Insanity. You just kind of have to blind drop until you find him.
That's right. I do remember. I definitely remember seeing the scroll of like the Ganon drop down, as in like where you land, where you fall to Ganon. I know that some people may or may not have seen that screen because you know obviously you only see it when you do fall. But that does not mean in this case that that's actually where the Ganon drop is.
We do see Gem going for the Mimic Clip. This could be, you know, potentially huge. You know, it's definitely not in Logic, but that doesn't change it from being potentially useful.
Yeah, really nice mimic clip there on Gem's side. That's actually something that I think maybe I won't say like semi recently. He has definitely basically done a lot of good amount of practice to do fast mimic clips like after he learned them, which obviously you've seen is you know in this case quite efficient in order to try and sequence break out the Bullock side. Hey, look, it's a pod key. Oh my god. And in Insanity, you know, the memes can't stop, you know? Like, there's always a pod key in pod, etc., etc.
Yeah, I mean, this is very interesting. We haven't seen the back of pod
is.
yet. So Gem is probably going to elect to do that. They're looking for anything. It doesn't matter if it's in Logic or not. It's to just give me some items so I can do something. So yeah, it's... You know, he'll have access to 2 in the Dark Maze, the Compass Chest, and 2 in the Dark Basement. So that's
yeah, that extra,
a lot of items right now.
Oh yeah, that extra key certainly has opened up pod, very much so. I'm not too sure in this case if Telethar like didn't want to mimic clip, or maybe you know because I know it's certainly a point of contention, you know, for interest runners. Some people always want to mimic clip, some people never want to mimic clip. Some people will just do it basically how they feel that day. But in this case, let's see in this case if Gem actually get some sort of payoff. Because I think at this point, I mean, maybe outside of like the ice rod that Gem has right now that was on the pyramid, that Telethar doesn't have. I guess Telethar's done the back of nice shuffle. He's done the back of pod, or the Thieves down, but you know maybe not necessarily too different. We haven't found Harry, right?
We have not found Harry yet, but finding the big key before you find Harry is definitely a decent find. Yeah, it's still nothing too immediately useful, and now Telethar will be getting that ice rod.
Yeah, Gem is trying to set up in this case Hammer Yump. Looks like he is trying to get on the right pixel.
Yeah, he's too
no.
high. He was too high. Yeah, he was like 1 tile too high. I'm pretty sure. Like, yeah. So, the downside if you're coming from the north, you have to leave the super tile, and the only way you can really leave the super tile from this side is by going all the way down the stairs.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. I mean, yeah, I think like Gem's usually very you know pretty competent at Hammer Yum, so. Ooh, do we find the back of this cave? Nice.
Yeah, it is in the Dark World, so we have to bunny revive here, but that's still 3 items.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask you. Right, so both Telethar and Gem did the front of escape, right? They got the map chest and then took the key in order to go to, I guess, the rest of the front of escape. Like, any consideration to just stealing it and not going to the back of escape, or not doing the front but going to the back of escape instead?
I don't think so. I mean, there are like just like in regular entrance, there's a risk that you have to do something terrible to get back there. But I think if you don't know where the back of escape is yet, like there's no reason to assume that that's the case. And then you can always actually find the Hyrule small key before it becomes an issue anyway. Um, so yeah,
Okay, okay,
I don't think the key steal has too much worth here. I
okay,
honestly
okay.
don't think it has a ton of worth in general. I think people get excited about the number of items they can get, like 3 versus 1, but then if an item you need is in the Zelda cell, like you are pretty much cementing yourself in to lose. Whereas if the item that you need is in the back of
Oh.
escape, like you'll probably get forced there before too long.
Okay, actually, that's actually a good point because there are multiple entry points into the back of escape in theory, right? As in, like, you can get the drop down, right? That's kind of your other point, especially for regular entrance. That's certainly very viable. But I guess there is only one entry point into the front of escape. So,
Yes.
okay, I certainly understand. Okay, I have a much better sense of what you mean by risk mitigation here. Well, it looks like though. Okay, so Gem's not gonna wait for that Thieves Town small key, nor the hammer. We're just gonna go straight up to the back. So he's gonna get probably his similar set of disappointment items, that Telethar has seen. But we are gonna get the green pendant for what it's worth. So whenever eventually, we find that we find Saha, we can also go turn it in and hope, and then we'll have a copium tray, for both of these guys.
We are seeing Telethar. He has been here before, so he might be checking a different exit this time. I'm not sure which one. I know he checked the left exit. I'm not sure which of the others he has been able to check. Looks like we're going for the right. Maybe?
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so any updated predictions, by the way, since we've last maybe try to figure out what our next piece of progression is going to be. We did try to. I think we exhausted all the flipper checks that we had, right? Because we checked Hobo, we checked Zora, and basically all of the flipper lock locations. So I guess Gem has a shovel that's still out of logic. We don't have any fire source right now, like no lamp, no fire rod.
Yeah, Gem doesn't have a glove though, and he found that out there. So we still haven't been to the Ice Rock Cave area. Like I'm a fan of delaying the Ice Rock Cave area in normal entrance without a glove, and it kind of even becomes more pronounced in Insanity. But man, there are 2 entrances there that are perfectly viable.
I think Telethar actually went over to the Ice Rock Cave area.
Oh, did he?
That's where I think
Did
that's
he
where
do
he found the
both of
Meyer
them?
Big Key.
Oh, okay.
That's what I want to
Okay.
say. But I mean, don't
Well then we're looking at Meyer. I would say is a most likely spot for progression.
Okay.
I mean, it's 5 items, and there's not much else right now.
Yeah, I don't really see any. It doesn't really look like we can make very much progress in Dark World. Like I mean, I guess we could actually. I mean, we can bunny walk, but like, where are we bunny walking to? Like, how much further can we go?
I mean, there are some things we haven't seen, like when Telethar found Bumper Cave, it was a hookshot side of Bumper. Well, it doesn't matter; they have hookshot and cave. So, like, we don't know where that exit's at. Like, there are things that I know we haven't seen, and there's probably things that I don't know we haven't seen because it's hard to keep track of everything.
Yeah.
But with all that said, like, I would expect, Telethar particularly to make that Meyer play sooner rather than later, given that he has that big key. It never feels good going in there without fire, but at some point I mean, what are we doing right now, right? Like we're walking around
exactly.
the left side of the Dark World as a bunny.
We're literally
Like-
still walking. We're just holding the D-pad, like, because I mean, this is one of the first things that, one of the only things you can do, when you play this game regularly, where you have no boots, nothing to your name. You just have to only have like the D-pad. It still looks like to be that case, pretty much an hour into this. And I guess, like, to your point, like, yeah, you don't like necessarily going into Mire without a fire source, but I mean, just kind of like what you've seen, right? There's nothing preventing the dungeon from having the thing that you want to have before you go in, right? It's the dungeon is not necessarily like BYO whatever lamp, or like fire rod. It just does not as advertised as much, right?
Oh, for sure. And you know, like first fire source in Mire, that never happens, right? Like even
Oh no,
in
of course
the most
not.
normal of modes, when there's only 2 items in Mire, that seems to happen quite frequently.
Well, actually,
So
so right, I guess maybe related to the right side of Mire. So I do hear that you need like 3 small keys in order to get there, like in order to put that in logic. I mean, like in this case, like would you maybe not be as concerned?
right. So I mean, you're probably not skipping on like immediate progression. Well, I mean, obviously it's not immediate progression because you know I'm fire, right? But yeah, I don't know if you have like much concern about it. It's just more that it just feels bad to have to make that check and then not have those items.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
think it's
it's
very
just
reasonable.
yeah,
I
it's
actually do
not
see.
really like a huge concern. Like I don't think you're thinking, oh, I'm gonna get the lamp at the next spot and it's gonna be
Yeah,
leaving.
yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
leave behind both gloves on the left side of mine. Like it's not
Oh
really like
man.
that, but
Actually, okay, so if we end up having a fire source, like, what does that actually open up? Does it open up anything? I'm trying to think. I mean, other than I guess like the fire lock chest and Mire, which still aren't
logically,
logical.
it doesn't really do much for fire. I'm trying to think of things that we've seen that fire would unlock, and I can't really think of much.
Yeah, I mean, I know that we done stuff that were in dark rooms, like I know Gem did the back of pod, for example. Both of them rescued Old Man, but I don't think it actually. Well, I guess that was one of the Turtle Rock small keys. Maybe that has some logical implications, but yeah, nothing kind of immediately that I also remember
Yeah,
seeing.
I mean, yeah, exactly. There's not
Mhm.
much. There's not much that it could be. It looks like Telethar is really dedicated to checking every entrance he has available before committing to like
Like a
Mire
dungeon.
or anything else, which is perfectly reasonable. I think he's probably getting pretty close. So that kind of like plays into the psychology of it. You know, you're like, I'm almost done with this task. I don't want to stop before I'm completely done. And, oh,
Oh,
you see.
hey.
Oh,
Oh my
God.
gosh, dude, that is amazing. Oh my gosh.
All right.
I
Well, then there you
I cannot believe that is where the pearl is.
I mean, that makes a ton of sense, though, right? Like, we got the logical access to blind, and yeah, I mean, there you go.
Yeah, it's right. I don't actually quite remember now where Telda found the small key. I mean, because Gem doesn't know it. Gem hasn't found it yet, but like, he did. I mean, both of them ended up making the right decision. Holy cow.
I think it was in Hype Cave.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think you're correct on that.
Of course, I'm not entirely sure where that was at this point, but so we see Mire small on Ether Tablet, not that important, really. But yeah, Telethar has a ton more available now, so it'd be interesting to see what he does. You know, he still is missing basically any useful item. But he has access to several more entrances now. It does put Ice Palace, for what it's worth, the 4 chests in there in Logic. Not that that is high priority right now either, but it's a thing.
Oh yeah. But I mean, the fact that Telthar actually does have like the pearl, I mean, he can also just do a lot more also in Dark World itself, right? It doesn't have to necessarily be buddying everywhere, but it does actually look like was there any other route to Flute Spot 5 in the Dark World? It doesn't actually look like it, right? You just have to take the connectors.
You either come out at the pyramid or you come out at Pod, and you have to walk there. I come out at Pod, and I think it was the right side of Desert. To come out at the pyramid, I forget right now, but yeah, you have to do one of those two and just walk your way there.
Yeah, and especially in this case, well, I mean, I know that both Gem and Telthar came out of it, but certainly, like, if you come out as a bunny, you can't really go back in, which is, in this case, looks like Telthar's just going to do his due diligence and just at least check this entrance. Turns out it's nothing, but at least, he, as you probably, like, rightfully observe, like, Telethar seems to certainly be much more thorough and just completing all the areas, to his name, without kind of leaving anything else behind. Alright, Gem looks like he's gonna try and do some more of Turtle Rock with all of his small keys, as much as he can possibly do, basically, without the Samaria. And looks like in this case, okay, Telethar has eventually decided that yes, I'm going to go into Mire because I don't have probably much else to do left.
Yeah, I mean, even with the pearl, like it does give you a couple more things you can do, like uh, the brewery, vanilla brewery, things like that. But it really, all things considered, without the glove or something like that, it doesn't do all that much. So just coming here and getting his 5 items makes a ton of sense, even with the pearl pickup.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Actually, yeah, we do actually have the rest of like the regular Dark World that used in Brewery. I guess there's also Digging Game and Stumpy, like things that we definitely could not get to as a bunny.
Those are the other 2 big things right
Yeah.
now for sure. So we probably see him headed that way next. Gem still has a few things to do, but he is also running out, so hopefully he gets filtered to that pearl sooner rather
Dark
than
Blue
later.
5. Yeah, but I mean, like, man, did Buddy walk that far? Well, okay, like, granted, these guys have probably already walked a lot of the seeds so far. Like, maybe, this just kind of building up endurance. We have entered Swamp Palace entrance? Okay. Wait, is this gonna get him over to Pod? Ooh. Well, he can't go back. I'm talking about maybe potentially being filtered into Dark Blue 5. Like, this could be, like, like a really nice break for Gem. If
Okay,
he
there's
actually
a
goes over
hammer
there.
in the
Oh,
spike
and Meyer?
chest.
Oh, classic.
So that's quite good. Also doesn't do a whole lot. It does open up, at least one entrance right now, and it also gives Mimic Cave, for example.
We found.
But,
Okay, so apparently we found a glove.
Never mind. We have left side GT because we have that in the chat. So.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say yeah. So apparently we also found a glove in Meyer as well, in addition to the hammer. Quite hilarious. All right, well here we are. Yeah, so I mean, I think you very aptly called it serendipitously because literally Gem got kind of like spit out and he was basically forced to take this entrance. It's quite hilarious.
That's very good. It's one of those things where it's interesting that they both found the pearl before they found the glove and hammer. It's kind of fortuitous, I think, because I think you're probably forced to get to Meyer earlier than you might have been, because you might like just walk around checking glove entrances and
oh
things
right,
like
in Light World, yeah,
in the Light World.
Yeah.
So I think it ends up being a good thing for both of them that they managed to get that pearl first.
Alright, looks like Jum's gonna be, he's thinking about it, but because he probably didn't want to walk all the way back to the Vanilla Pod entrance just to check this entrance, but we saw on Telethar side it's nothing, but I think Gem doesn't know this. Talking about though, we did find on Telethar side the dam, which means, have we found Swamp? Do you remember? Because that is everything.
We have Swamp and we have everything for it. So suddenly we actually have a place to go that has a lot of items that we can clear. And I mean, we also have left side GT. Don't forget. So suddenly Telethar has a ton of items available. They've been like just looking for anything to do that that wasn't terrible, and now he has like several good options. So it's interesting. Like he's obviously right now scouting out some like at least one, hopefully more entrances here in the Dark World shopping mall. But if he gets like stuck in a bad spot like the loop ends, I would expect that he might prioritize either getting the Swamp or getting to GT.
Yeah, and I guess.
Oh, well, he found a
Oh,
great
well, hello.
place
We
here.
also found, we also found Eastern Palace without the bow or the big key. Okay, memes aside, I do maybe feel like this is probably worth going into now because, like, to come back here might be a bit harder.
Oh, in Insanity, you
yeah.
basically should always check whatever items you can check. It's very tough to exit and come back sometimes. Like even in slightly more easy to get to places.
Yeah, that's true. And actually, for what it's worth, like we actually did find a map to Swamp Palace as well. Like, so I don't actually know if there's going to be an incentive or deterrent from entering a dungeon if you know it's going to be a crystal or a pendant. But at least that there is like an additional extra, I don't know, certainty of whatever dungeon. Like, we would like to go into Swamp Palace, right? I'm assuming we're gonna go in whether it's a pendant or crystal, but at least know you're at least gonna make some progress if it's a crystal.
I mean, a 10 item, it's like a 10 item cave, even if it takes like, I don't know, 7 minutes, whatever it's gonna take them to clear it.
Yeah.
Like it's still gonna be worth it at this point. I mean, look how gray trackers are. I mean, you know, they're starting to get items now, but you know, you
Yeah,
got
we had
bow, fire rod, lamp, cane, mirror, flute. Like there's so many things now. You know, mirror, flute. You might not need them in this mode, but
boy, they would be kind of nice to have, huh?
it'd be nice to have. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'm actually just thinking this too, because normally, like, when you find, for a typical rando seed, right? Like, you know, you get all the big stuff, right? You get a glove, and then you get a hammer, maybe you get another glove, then you get a pearl, and then you get, you know, a fire rod, and then ultimately, you're searching for one of those, like, ice rod or ice rod-esque type of things, right? Pod big key, ice rod, any medallion, right? Like, things that basically lock nothing, and, like, here, it's almost seemingly the exact opposite. We find pretty much, like, every, like, tough-to-find item so far, or at least most of them, and we're just looking for anything that's like major, right? And it turns out 2 of them would just have to be Meyer, at least like we found on Telthar's side, but that seems to be the reverse progression of items.
Yeah, I mean, Jem has been checking some more stuff in the Dark World with the Pearl, but he's probably going to get filtered into Meyer pretty soon, I think. I mean, I hope for his sake he does. Doesn't look like much value in Eastern, unfortunately.
We got the swap map. I think that's pretty good.
Oh yeah,
we get knowledge.
Sure, a little bit of knowledge.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like you kind of different. I mean, well, Gem's also or not Gem. Telethar is also chasing Dark World locations that are locked by Pearl as well. It just happens to be kind of different areas of the world. But yeah, the main difference right now though is that Telethar prioritized Meyer, which had both a hammer and a glove. Looks like, speaking of, we also have a Crystal Hera. We do not have the big key to Hera on Telethar's side. Trying to remember where Gem got that.
Yeah, where was? So I mean, this is he is going for the crystal here, which you know makes sense, especially in this mode where getting back to anything just seems horrible. Oh, Gem
Hey,
getting
look, we
good
found
knowledge.
Ganon.
Yeah.
This was in the back of Skullwoods, right? Or sorry, in the whatever upper part of Skullwoods. Is that right?
I was too busy watching Telethar side. I missed it. But yeah, I mean that's definitely one of the places we haven't seen yet, so that would make sense.
Oh.
We'll see with Telethar. Okay. So if something really important, but that doesn't block a lot, happens to be in the Hera big chest, that could be the type of thing that gets Gem back in it. You know, obviously it's a big if, but it is certainly possible.
Yeah. And certainly, like, I would expect a lot more things to kind of be behind, in this case, like the glove and the hammer that Telethar found in Meyer. So, but we do actually have our actual first crystal. It is a 5/6 for what it's worth. We have not seen. I don't think we've actually exited out of the pyramid very bombable wall yet, but it could come into play. We have found the bomb shop very, very early. So, now that being said, though, we don't have an Eastern big key and we don't have a bow, which can be quite elusive, especially in Insanity. So. Oh, thank you, Lana. Yes, okay. That is an excellent point. Gem also got a shovel out of the backup pod as well, which I don't believe he has checked.
So give Telethar save and quit there. I guess he has checked the stump there in Lost Woods, so that's good. Let's see where Gem's going now. It's tough to know sometimes. Oh, he might... Maybe he hasn't been over here yet.
He must have been over here, but maybe this is somewhere that... This is a connector that leads him to somewhere else that... Oh, what's 10 arrows? Okay, thanks, Ogi. Wait, was this the thing that you were talking about earlier? We found Bumper Cave?
Okay, so yeah, Bumper Cave sides don't really matter then, because we have access to both of them. He will exit out... I forget where... So, I forget where the exit to this was. Yeah, it's not important. If you go in the right side of desert, you end up in the top of Bumper Cave, but...
All right, okay. Well, we have made our way back to Swamp Palace, thanks to Telethar find the dam. Oh, wow, that is really nice find there on Telethar side. So we do have the fire rod in the very first chest of Swamp Palace. Finally, a fire source. Yeah, some of these things are certainly looking, quite nicely for Telethar, just because, well, he has the hammer in the midst, no, hammer in the glove, sorry, for Meyer. He has the pearl, which means that also, we also have regular Dark World access to all of our different entry points from the Dark World. We also, of course, have the fire rod. So, man, what potentially more could we? I mean, I think we're still maybe a ways from go mode, but it certainly filled in a lot of the gaps from some of like the more recent major item pickups.
Yeah, for sure. There are a lot of things we still need. Like I don't think we found Back of Skull Woods yet, so we definitely need to find that.
I think well, I want to say we found the back of Skull Woods, like very, very early though, because they both went to the bridge chest. I don't remember what was there, but they both went there. It was just super,
Okay.
super early.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember that, but that's good. So we found that. We need the bow and Eastern Big Key, obviously.
Yeah, and I think we're still missing some pendant crystal knowledge, right? Like we don't know if that ice rod is required, like for Trinex. Well, we do have a map to Turtle Rock. I don't. Was it a crystal when we went in? I don't quite remember. Oh,
They're having a little bit of
trouble. Yeah, with Samarialus or Bomb Diver down. All right, looks like Jem's actually gonna finish up the rest of the overworld. At least on like the South Dark World loop, we did find a very not useful map to Thieves Town, considering we had to beat Thieves Town for the green pendant and turn it in for the pearl.
stings a little bit, I'm sure.
Okay, looks like actually we've made our way back over to Sank, and yes, this is one of those things where I think it would really be quite nice in order to have a flute, just because you get taken away from somewhere when you're on like a pretty, you had something that you wanted to go do, and then you just ended up getting transported somewhere that you've already been to, and then in order to have to get back to where you were, like we're actually seeing Gem in this case, like having to basically walk the entirety of the village of Outcast, right, just to get back to well, Stumpy or wherever this like south area is.
This, like I understand he wants to get to like Stumpy here, but man, this is painful when I don't know you have like other options like fire. I understand the thinking for sure. Like you want to go to the things that opened up.
Ooh, speaking of though.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So yeah, it is a big key to Turtle Rock. He doesn't have the fire rod from the front of Swamp Palace.
Yeah. So we're probably going like we definitely will need the cane at some point, right? So either either one has to be, or both.
Yeah, we just don't know in this case if the big key to Turtle Rock is going to be required. Like,
Right.
it certainly is required for Trinex. We do have the big chest available now. That's open to us.
Yeah, I guess we are getting like somewhat close to go mode though, regardless of what the crystals are. Surprisingly, I know it seems like we were doing nothing for so long, but we obviously need the bow and the Eastern Big Key and the Cane of Samaria. But past that, I mean, what's interesting is they might end up needing like the lamp or a bottle, or else they might be stuck with like a perfect Master Sword.
Dude, I didn't even think about it that far. You're right though. I mean, so Telethar did find Master Sword, and you did point out that we do need at least one bow in order to finish up Eastern. Yeah. That being said, all right. Well, big key to Ice Palace. That's actually kind of nice. That actually is pretty good, just because Telethar now he has a small key, and so he minus the cane, which is not required. Well, might still logically be required for Mice Palace, but he does have a bunch more. Like he can pretty much full clear out the dungeon. Just might be slower than he'd like. Hey, look, there's a Hyrule Castle small key. Oh, jeez, what a location. Although, like, I don't think anything else is back there. In like the back of Escape, like either at Zelda Cell or at the actual back of Escape. So.
I think that's all good.
Alright, so where is Gem going? I guess he hasn't maybe checked the actual Dark World Hype Cave location yet?
Yeah, he is running out of new things that opened up with the Pearl. And then he'll be back to the things he had before Pearl.
Yeah.
Which includes Meyer, and I don't know what else. Not much, I don't think. Okay, that's nice. He has his Master Sword now.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, I did forget that this was actually here in actual Hype Cave. Probably actually more hype than most other hype caves that we've seen, honestly, for the sword.
Very true. Very true.
Alright, looks like Telthar's actually, yeah, he's full clear out swamp, and maybe had a little bit of extra issues trying to get the like phase 1 spin, but yeah, cleaned up very nicely in phase 2 with the ice rod. Oh yeah, this is the dam for oh wow, well that is extremely useful. We have the mirror on Argus. Not often, by the way, you get to see this.
True.
Typically.
That is very true.
Man, I feel like this is actually one of the few times where like, few instances, if you were playing Entrance, right, where you know that the mirror does not lock, or potentially doesn't have to lock Swamp Palace, so then you can actually, like, quick shot over to, like, you know, using silvers or, like, anything like that, right? You basically have zero danger, using Quick Swap. Not that it was gonna be the case today, because we have nothing to Quick Swap to, but yeah, we did find, okay, yeah, this was actually very convenient then, if that's the case with the Fire Rod.
Yeah, we do see Gem going for probably what's going to be Eastern Palace if he does the right side first here. We know there isn't much going on in there, unfortunately, but he does need to find it at some point, so for that, it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's also true. Yep, here we are. Meanwhile, though, Telethar, yeah, he should be fine. I mean, this is certainly a fight that he is not a stranger to. Nobody necessarily likes this fight on, well, really much of any equipment, but, you know, here we are. He should be fine, though. Red Mail makes him indestructible. Yeah,
he did a good job there, yeah.
Oh my gosh, and he gets tempered. Alright, suddenly this seed has basically gone into overdrive. We have had literally nothing to do for an hour, or at least we found no progression. And yeah, like, once in this case Telethar made the, looks like correct decision to prioritize Meyer to go get his hammer and glove, and then got Swamp Palace access, got his Fire Rod, which got him to the mirror, and then also now has gotten Temper Sword from the back of Skull Woods. You think we're actually gonna see Boots or Flute today, out of curiosity?
I'd bet no, but
that's so sad. That's so sad.
I mean, just playing the odds, right? Because Telethar is, you know, he's racking up these crystals. Like, he's getting kind of close. Like I said, like, we need a bow, we need an Eastern Big Key. He's coming here to GT, which has a lot of items, so this is definitely the play to make now, because even though he could go do ice, he doesn't know if it's a crystal or a pendant, for one, and for two, you know, this has more items right now immediately available. So if you can find your go mode here and then just go through ice, I mean, obviously it's a little bit of a hopium to get all the things you need here, but well, that's a good start for sure.
I was gonna say. So
that opens up, it opens up 3 more items here alone, let alone it's required. So that's a great find.
So we do have the GT Big Key. Like, I understand we have no bow, but I mean, like, how high would you prioritize the climb?
So the interesting thing on Telethar's perspective is he has not found Ganon yet. So that might make things a little bit different of a calculation for him, because he has checked a lot of the drops. Like, he's found the back of Escape, like, he's found a lot of things. Now, he hasn't checked every drop, obviously, because he hasn't found Ganon, and we know it's available. But that does change the calculus as to whether or not he might value the climb here. So, like, in his position, I think it really will depend on how many items he gets that are required or potentially required. Like, if he's still looking for the Eastern Big Key, you know, like, we have seen that he doesn't mimic clip, or at least he didn't with like earlier. So if he doesn't find a bow here, I don't expect him to do it necessarily, but you know, if he finds a bow in here and he still needs, so I mean, he at least needs the Eastern Big Key, right? So
yeah,
I don't know.
I'm also just wondering if he wants to, like, put it off. Like, even if he has a bow right now, sounds like GT is kind of easy to get back to. So maybe he doesn't necessarily want to, make the commitment right now.
That's definitely true. You know, everything's a little bit of a trade-off. I think the interesting thing is that he hasn't found Ganon yet, so that kind of changes the trade-off a little bit. But yeah, to your point, it's not that hard to get back to GT. So I do expect him to do everything here in the basement, which is, he still has quite a few items left, actually. Still has 9 more, so Still a lot
Oh
of
yeah,
room for value.
that is very true. Yeah. Because yeah, it's like the Cane of Samaria does in fact unlock the rest of the right side, and of course we do have logical access with the Fire Rod. So yeah, but I mean certainly like man, I want to say that Meyer is a crystal. I guess I don't. Well, okay, maybe we don't actually have that information. But that is going to be like another dungeon that we're able to clear on Telethar side. We can also certainly see that, like, Telethar, I mean, you pointed out before, Telethar is extremely good at this game, and we've kind of already seen that in, you know, a lot of his, basically, resourcing and execution. Like, despite the fact that these guys are boothless, right, he has certainly shown, how to play this game very well. Alright, that is the Thieves Down small key. As pointed out earlier, that does put Thieves Down logic, so at least good for Gem that he has his Pearl now in logic. Still no hammer, but you know that's another detail that we'll set aside later.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, Gem is looking sadly for a bomb because he can't actually get to the other entrance, and we have no glove sadly, so we can't actually like lift a 50-50 rock. I don't even know what price pack these crabs are in. They don't seem to be very helpful.
He does have the shovel.
You're right. We do have. You're right. He does have the shovel. That's actually a really good point.
Yeah, he's going through the small variety pack.
Yeah, it does look like small variety. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Really good knowledge here on Jump side. I mean, like he really does know the price packs quite well. Probably reinforced also by the fact that he plays a bunch of spoiler.
Eastern Big, so Bo could be go mode actually.
Oh, Bogo mode? Yeah.
It could be, depending on Turtle Rock status.
For Telethar, right.
Oh, well, no, so if he got the Turtle Rock Big Key, right? I guess it depends on Desert and Turtle Rock, yeah. So he would at least need the Turtle Rock Big Key.
Yeah. Well, right. So yeah. So Gem has gotten the Turtle Rock Big Key from Stumpy, and yeah, I just think that Telethar has a bit over there yet. But certainly, if that's gonna be like it should not be one of his limiting factors for go mode.
So if Desert ends up being a pendant, then like Telethar is very, very close to having everything
Desert actually looks like it is a pendant. Like we're here. Like there's a capital key on Gem side, right? So yeah, it looks like Turtle Rock's the last crystal.
So. Yeah, it's Stumpy go mode for Telethar, I think.
Well, he needs.
Oh no, with Bo, yeah. Bo, and then Stumpy go mode. That's very short shopping list.
And I think he's gonna be able to find Ganon here, right? I'm assuming he's gonna check out the drop at some point, or not.
He's getting Ice Rod Cave first. He tried to Secret Bunny in the second time he was there, but
right,
yeah. But yeah, he's gonna check that drop. He'll have the Ganon knowledge. So yeah, he's gonna need the bow, and he's gonna need to get the Stumpy at some point, but getting the Stumpy is a very normal thing to have happen.
That's really true.
So like he might be doing ice first. Oh, he checked this. Okay, I mean that's reasonable, but that drop is now, yeah, it's hanging out. It's
yeah, that's true. Yeah. So yeah, I guess like right. So he's like item wise, he needs a bow and he needs actually that's it, just a bow. So and he still has to go find Ganon. Yeah. All right, looks like Gem has actually finally found his way into Meyer, in order to, so he's gonna be able to get his hammer and gloves. This will be quite good news for him.
I think Telethar might be heading to Ice Palace, which makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, he's got Tempered, he's got Fire Rod, and I mean, and he knows it's gonna be. I think he knows it's a crystal. Maybe not.
I don't think he does, but I mean, it's a fair bet.
Oh yeah.
And it's still late
no indicator. So. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he has Samaria, which is very fortunate. Grab right before Ice Palace. So I mean, he's gonna be able to clear this like the rando desired way, right? Get Icebreaker in, and then I'm gonna assume he doesn't skip anything still, but I don't know. Like maybe Ice Tea may or may not be on the table, but still, yeah. If he finds a boat here, he'll be quite happy. Because finally we'll actually get some, another point of direction insta. Like he knows he can clear Eastern Palace. So.
Gem is gonna have an awful lot of work to do.
That is certainly very true.
Like he checked a lot of things that were not glove or hammerlock, but none of it really ended up being required except for Stumpy. Um, and Stumpy is one of the probably most likely things that Telethar will do when he's looking for the last piece. So, yeah, it's not a great situation to be in.
Yeah, no, I mean, and the fact that, well, we do actually see in this case Telford make quite quick work in this case of, of like the, whatever, 3 crystals or whatever that he has currently over Gem. But, I mean, that being said, like, I think Gem will also knock those out pretty quickly as well, but it's still like that much more time that he still has to kind of, in this case, play a bit more catch up. That is probably not the the Vicky that Telthar wanted to see. But I guess, okay, but, well, maybe because, like, he doesn't know right now if Ice Palace is a crystal or pendant, right? So then, maybe from his perspective, like, Desert can still be a crystal.
It might still be, yeah, anyway, even if he knew, because I don't think he doesn't know Meyer. Like, he has a map for Turtle Rock, but it's not marked, so I don't know if he checked it yet or not.
Yeah.
I think he did, but, like, he didn't mark it, but I don't know.
I think he probably, maybe he had the map, and then he at some point went into Turtle Rock, and then just saw the crystal and the sea, and then just, didn't bother.
So Gem now in left side GT, making that his first play after the hammer, which makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, and which is actually really good, because now he's gonna get Samaria. He does have everything for Swamp Palace as well. I think he probably cycled through that in his search of dungeons. I'm trying to think what else was actually back here in the basement of GT.
There actually wasn't all that much. I think there's like a bottle in here.
Oh right, that's right. I think this was also pointed out by Darkus. Was we found our first bottle at least on Telethar side at like, I don't know, like 120 or something, something pretty ridiculous.
I think, yeah, like I guess on the plus side, like Gem won't be able to do Compass Room. And it's a plus because I don't think there's anything worthwhile there. So it's
I think the only I'm right. I remember the gold sword was there, and I think that might have been it. But Darkus also pointing out that yes, we definitely need the King Samaria to at least do tile room. So maybe this is gonna be a fortune, for Jen. Like you don't have enough GT small keys, so the farthest you can do is tile room. I really hope he does tile room. Oh, and there is our bow on Cold Stare. So I think at this point, Telethar is at least gonna beeline into Eastern Palace. That is a known crystal for him. And then, hopefully somewhere in his travels, he's going to be able to find Ganon. But Telethar certainly is looking at a very, very strong position right now to finish up the rest of the seed. Okay,
yeah, he knows now that Eastern's a crystal. That Desert's a pendant, so, his knowledge is, it's 50... No, he actually has knowledge now, right? Yeah. He has full knowledge. He knows exactly what he needs. The only thing he's missing is the Turtle Rock Big Key. I expect him to go and just rush down the crystal dungeons that he has left. This is the easiest way to get to one, so he's doing Maya
that's
first.
True. we have gone through this connector many a time to basically see this dungeon. Oh, that beetle's gonna get in the way. All right, good for
yeah. He'll probably full check everything left here, so he wasn't able to check the fire side before, but now he has the fire rod. So there's 3 items here. There's 2 items in Eastern, but after he's done with those, as soon as he goes to Stumpy, that's basically game over. Gem is on a very tight clock right now.
Yeah, well, okay, for what it's worth, like, Gem does have he has a 7-minute buffer. I mean, I don't know how long or short it sounds, but for what it's worth, like, at least in terms of advancement, that is not the big that's all there wants to see. Because of how like all the tiebreaker stuff worked, Gem can Telethar can still win, but he needs to beat Gem by more than 7 minutes. But I think in terms of like how we've seen this seed play out, 7 minutes is still on a pretty tight leash here. Like,
yeah, I mean, Gem.
It's not a lot in this particular thing.
So Gem, he'll be doing tile room. We'll get all the value that there is to be gotten out of GT at that point. I guess there is a sword, but like the other sword is kind of on the way.
Yeah,
I
it's on
think.
Mopula, so
So
yeah, he should be totally fine, basically.
yeah. So like, but Gem still has to full clear Swamp and Ice and kill Mopula. Like that
Yeah,
takes a little
it's
bit
a
of
lot.
time.
I'm trying to actually remember where the Meyer Big Key was for that Telethar had.
Oh,
Uh,
good point.
like, man, I want to say it was in the, well, yeah, I'm trying to remember where in this case he got it. I don't remember it being like super out of the way or anything, but it is something that obviously like Telethar has, and that's gonna enable him in order to beat Meyer. But yeah, I think at this point, in terms of items, between Telethar and Gem, we actually have everything that we need, and the probably right now the more important piece of information and in terms of knowledge that Gem has over Telethar is that he knows where Ganon is.
That's very true, but you know, I think Telethar has time to find him.
Oh yeah, yeah, no,
at least at
I
least
do
as it
agree. I
currently
do agree
stands.
to that.
But
Yeah.
like anything could happen. Like I certainly expect that Telethar will prioritize something like Stumpy when he goes, when he's done with his crystals, when he's, has his 6 crystals and he's looking for that last piece. But
Hmm.
he doesn't have to, right? He doesn't have to. He could. I mean, there's a multitude of other things he could choose to do. There's all sorts of entrances that he hasn't checked. He has that mirror. Like, there's all sorts of things he could do. But going to a place where he knows he could get an item, it probably will be high on the list. But
Yeah, that's
we'll
actually a
see.
good point. Yeah, and I'm actually just wondering. Well, sorry, we don't actually have that many pod keys, so maybe pod is not very appealing to him. But I'm just wondering, like, if you're, I guess in this case, looking for one a fairly elusive big key, right? Would you try and like maybe do more overworld stuff, or would you maybe try and do more dungeons? But I mean, I think your point though that you should go to the locations where you know there are sure items. That is probably like the best decision. But other than that, like if you once those exhausted, maybe you'll try and do more dungeons because they're more dense versus overworld.
Yeah, I certainly expect Telethar to go for like places like Big Game and Stumpy, but
Mm-hmm.
like especially since we found like the good the pendant dungeon of GT, like we found it. We got most of the value out of there. We didn't climb
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Like there are 4 items up there plus an unknown drop, but I don't anticipate that that's where he's going for one item before like Stumpy or Big Game. But I mean, it is an option. It is something he could do that would give Gem an opportunity to get a little bit back here.
I am thinking though that the prediction of no boots or flute the seed is slowly but surely looking like more and more certain, which makes me sad.
Yeah,
Probably makes Jam and Telethar more sad, but it is just kind of watching the fact that they are getting through the seed. I mean, but for what it's worth though, like at least on Telethar's side, assuming he actually does go through, like it does actually have a good potential to finish relatively quickly.
for
He
sure.
really just needs, yeah, he needs to finish up Eastern Palace, which it looks like he's actually going for right now. And once in this case he does find the Turtle Rock Vicky on Stumpy, beating Trinex is not going to be too big of a deal, and then he's going to go find Ganon at some point. But yeah, like I think to your point, if right now like if he gets kind of maybe like baited into some other things, like if he does the GT climb for example, that's certainly going to be very well appreciated, especially on jump side. Not for Telethar because that's going to be a time that he probably could afford to lose at this point, but it won't actually lead him to the things that he's looking for.
So Telethar is electing to check these caves. I think he's probably hoping that there's single item caves that could have what he's looking for. But if he gets taken away, he might have to swim all the way back here. He got lucky.
Yeah.
He got lucky. There's nothing taking him away. Oh, he's doing this one too. Okay, so he'll still be able to do Eastern with having all the stuff checked off. That's
Wow.
that's nice.
All right. Yeah, and that's kind of like one of the things that I think has been maybe pointed out like every once in a while, like at least during this broadcast, is like one of the reasons I guess like that you can't like it's a bit harder to be more thorough, more efficiently. Is yeah, once in this case you go into an entrance, you either have to get lucky and that it won't take you away, kind of like in Telethar's situation, right? Or that you have something that can quickly take you back to the things that you were doing initially before you got carried away. You know, and that's kind of the reason why it's like, well, if you got 3 drops, hope you get the right one, and then if you don't, you know, try and come back to it, you know, in a timely manner, because that's gonna be, you know, it's just gonna be that much harder for you to go back.
Especially where this Eastern Palace location is.
Yeah, it is very not convenient. I mean, I don't really know if... Okay, we also didn't really have any connectors that kind of helped us out in order to get us over here, so that's also maybe part of the unfortunate part is, but like Darkwell Chopping Mall, you know, no flute, no, you know, no really anything. It doesn't, you know, you just basically have to just lock your and swim your way over here.
I guess he did find that one pod small key. If he finds like another one on Armos, that certainly would increase the chances he goes
Oh, yeah,
the pod first.
I'm also kind of curious to see where this lamp is, because, I mean, we have certainly gone through our fair share of dark rooms. We have not seen, I guess, like, where the lamp is. Now, that being said, there's still a lot of items out there, but I would maybe expect something to turn up at some point.
I mean, we have a ton of items that are locked behind the lamp, though, right? Like, that happens a lot with Insanity, I think, or even Entrance in general, is that the lamp doesn't end up locking all that much a lot of the time. So... you know, you can go lampless.
Yeah,
a lot easier in Entrance than in other modes, I think. Oh,
no, for sure.
We have boots.
Oh, we found the boots on Eastern on Armos. Oh my gosh. Well, that is potentially interesting news actually for Gem, because he's gonna get the bow on Colster, and he knows where Eastern Palace is, right? He actually might end up going there first, or like next. So we at least maybe get some relief, I guess, after so long being boostless. But honestly, like, pretty terrible. Because, I mean, like, they're actually, you know, like, whenever you open a spoiler log and you search and you see the boost where you're like, oh, they're in GT? Okay, never mind, you know, I don't like the scene anymore. This is even worse, because the Eastern Big Q was in GT tile room, and then you had to get out, right, in order to go. Just,
yeah.
Like, how much more? Yeah, and the bow, and the only bow that we know of is on Colster, which is still, man, is, I don't know, 15 steps away, basically. Actually, did we need a mirror, out of curiosity? Like, I'm just trying to look at
I don't think that Telethar has used a mirror once yet.
Yeah, so I'm actually just wondering, so Gem's gonna do Eastern at this point. Is he gonna be potentially in Fire Rod Gun?
Yes.
So he actually can save himself all of Swamp Pit, right? Like, Fire Rod was in the first chest of Swamp Palace, which means... So, assuming Gem goes to Eastern right now, he can, like, he'll get his boots, and then he'll presumably do Swamp, and then he'll find the Fire Rod, and then he's good? Oh, he needs a Mire Big. He needs a Mire Big. Never mind.
That is
and
true.
Mire Big. Thanks, Space. Yes, that's right. So close, so close. Alright, so we're looking for basically elusive... Yeah, so yeah, thanks then. Yeah, so Telethar has indeed, he's gained the knowledge of where Ganon is, so right now it's, well, Gem still needs a Fire Rod from the front of Swamp Palace, and he needs, looks like, the Mire Big Key from the first chest of Castle Tower. I think he's trying to maybe figure out how to get over to Eastern. or not. I have no idea where all these connectors are.
I mean, Telethar's doing exactly what you would expect. He's going to places that have items and checking them. We know that this is not the right spot. He has a little bit of a buffer here. But to your point, I mean, if Gem picks the right sequence for things, he could still finish within 7 minutes. It's not out of the question. So
yeah, I mean, I think the sequence to the boots and the Fire Rod, I think, is going to be pretty straightforward for Gem. I would just only worry in this case about the potion shop, because that's what it sounds like. It's It sounds like it's an area that he hasn't really been over to yet, but I mean, still, like, I don't know what's going to incentivize him to do that particular location versus, you know, something else that, I don't know, is, yeah, like he's seen, he's trying to check more glove lock locations.
Yeah, and Gem is cleaning up chests and dungeons. I instead of going to dungeons he can beat, there's part of me that wonders if this is like a reaction to leaving the hammer and the gloves for so long in a dungeon.
That very well could be.
Yeah, it very well could. I'm not sure. It might just be, you know, I'm close, I'm gonna do it now. But I do expect him to pick either Eastern or Swamp to go to very soon here.
Alright, we're also getting a bunch more 2-item locations on Telethar side, so we do find Meyer Shed for once. Yeah, there's probably not going to be too much more, but although I think you did mention earlier, if we get into a couple more pod keys, pod in this case might be more attractive to Telethar just because he's only done the front, like I think he only just done Shooter Room, and like that's it. He didn't even Mimic Clip because we didn't have anything else. But if he finds maybe like one more key, right, suddenly, you know, he's got the bow and he can actually go do a lot of the stuff in the back, which is, you know, again, known density and items.
So where Gem's going?
Catfish? It's not here, right? Dark Potion. It's yeah. It's the regular potion shop entrance. Yeah. Well, you know, I guess for what it's worth, you did say that, you know, you could prioritize the known items. Catfish is a known item.
It's just an odd choice. I think he's found the dam, right?
He has, yeah. I'm pretty sure he has, because he got that very shortly after Hookshot. I'm pretty sure, because I remember him using the Hookshot to get the dam item.
Yeah, I mean, it's odd not to be going for the dungeons, I guess, but I do understand. It could be that he found those items so late that he figures that he needs to make a play, and that's not necessarily incorrect, to be honest. But
yeah, but I guess for what it's worth, like he does have a nice mushroom. He does have a little bit of buffer. I mean, granted, like I think maybe right now even having a 7-minute buffer is looking maybe a bit dire. But I mean, then again, like all the time that Telethar either repeats all the stuff that Gem has done before, or he's checking news checks that we know that are not going to be productive for him, right? Is basically, you know, still it's just basically padding on to Gem's buffer. But looks like in this case we're gonna actually head over to Eastern Palace. Maybe he in this case wanted to clean up Catfish and the Dark Potion Shop stuff. So he's gonna go get at least his boots. He'll at least be happier for that. Right, and we see on Telethar. Yeah, and we did see on Telethar side that he is actually pretty safe here because, you know, he won't get taken away and he'll be, you know, very happy at least at the end. Well, happier. I won't say very happy. I don't know how happy he's been so far. Both of these guys playing basically like 145 without boots and.
Be going to Smoke Rock, maybe? No, yeah. That's one of the few places we haven't checked yet.
Oh right, yeah. Yeah, because I think Gem was over here earlier. Well, I'm sure Telethar was over here, but we didn't have a glove.
So he might be walking back to the Darkwood portal now, which would put him pretty close to Stumpy. If that's true.
Yeah, this looks like it. Yeah, because he also has this mirror. Never mind.
Change of heart.
Okay, it's okay. Where are we going? I was gonna say that we also have the K45 entrance, which he would combine very well with with the mirror check as well. But it looks like we're gonna do something else. Funnily enough, we're myths.
I think it's Pod, actually. He does have 3 keys in the bow.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
looks
Pod.
like it. Looks like it. All right, well, this is gonna be at least, you know, good news for Gem. Certainly, Telethar is not gonna find what he wants, which is the Turtle Rock Big Key on Stumpy. But like I do, but in this case, like Gem did do a bunch of stuff in the back. With one more key, I'm assuming that he can open like Harmless Hallway or something, or Big Key chest. One more additional thing. but probably another. But it's most of the time that will be given back to Gem, not all of it, just because Telethar is here with much better equipment. Notably probably like the boots are gonna help out a bit much.
Yeah, I mean, interesting choice because he does have the mirror, so it wouldn't have been too much more costly to just go to the Dark World and do big game with Stumpy on the way here to Pod. I guess now that he has the shovel, though, there almost certainly will be his next stop.
Also, good point. Yeah. Didn't think about that. Well, he might just run out of Pod and go do the Dick spot for what it's worth, as opposed to going back into the Dark World. But I think you're right though. Just be able to combine that efficiency with like all the Dark World stuff is pretty good. All right, Gem's got boots. Finally. He did beat the 2-hour mark, which is, I don't know if that's like par or anything like that for entrance. I did forget about Hera.
Yeah, which is never really going to be a problem to find it with how, come out of Eastern and it's right there.
Right. I should know if that lineup was actually gonna be okay for Gem, but it's okay. We got red mail and like a bunch of bomb store names, so it's fine.
Yeah, not a problem at all.
Yeah. So Gem found the Hera big key that Telethar at least did not have when he was in Hera. We know there's not going to be the Meyer big key. Just turns out it was a pot compass.
Yep, not much value there.
Yeah, this seed has certainly been, I think, very, very challenging. And, again, this is, I don't know how much boots list tolerance Telethar has. My guess is that he probably has is probably a bit higher than Gems, just because he's probably more used to playing, well, entrance seeds where you could, it is very common to basically go without boots for quite some time. Just really hope that Gem has, kept up basically his endurance, because in general, it can just be very easy to lose focus. Especially, for longer extended seas, like this one's going to probably push over 2 hours, my guess. And then also, of course, if you just literally just holding right everywhere, or for the most part, it can be certainly quite depressing.
It's definitely not a lot of fun to play bootless, especially for extended periods. But just in general, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, and like in this case, like it is still a solo seed for what it's worth, right? He's like maybe even if you're on a co-op, right, or something, you at least have a buddy to commiserate with. But here, Gem just has to kind of power through, as well as Telethar. Alright, looks like Telethar is still trying to find... Well, okay, right, he's not trying to find Ganon at this point. Like, he knows that... he knows where Ganon is, he's just trying to find that Turtle Rock big key.
Yeah, and
alright, but this actually might be...
surprise, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like this is going to be when things... Well, the time has always been kind of ticking for Gem, but given that Telethar is entering here in the Dark World, I think he's going to do the thing that you described, is go visit Stumpy. He will probably try to mirror, but that's his plan, to go do Dig Spot in the K45. But he'll certainly find his Turtle Rock big key, and then that will be the 7-minute timer on Gem's side. Good news for Gem though, this is going to be Meyer big key. That is go mode for Telethar. This potentially could, man. All right, so Gem has to finish 3 dungeons.
And the other problem is that. He's been putting off Swamp for whatever reason. So he might do Meyer first too, which would add in a couple well, I guess he won't have long checks, right? Because he has to skip the left side. What will Gem do? Interesting.
I'm pretty sure... Okay, so I'm pretty sure that Gem did find Swamp, like, very early. Oh, there's Silvers! Well, that potentially could be interesting. You have no mirror, so we actually can't get out quickly.
Yeah, I think Gem found Swamp, but I guess the better question is, does he know where Swamp is? Those are 2 separate questions.
Oh, very, very excellent point. I thought he saw Swamp in like in the cycle basically of the dungeons, and yes, I'm pretty sure he found the dam. So he need to drain it. So, man, this must be extremely nerve-wracking. Okay, so he has to go finish Meyer, and yeah, he can't do the right side. So there's some things that actually have really played out in Gem's benefit. You know, he couldn't do right side GT, like, well, he did the tile room, but he was small key locked out of the compass chest or compass rooms, so it definitely saved him. You know, probably what 90-ish seconds or whatever. He does not have a fire sword for a right side mire, so he's going to basically save the, I don't even know how long it takes over there. 1 minute.
He's still checking the big chest here, but yeah, he'll be going straight for Viddy now. Telethar, meanwhile, has his 7th crystal, so he just needs to go back to where he found Ganon, and he'll be done. So, I mean, Gem is definitely on the path now, but 7 minutes goes by pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean, I'm even just trying to think, like, so even a go mode swamp and beating Mothula.
Yeah, exactly.
And Trinex, like, it's a lot to ask in 7 minutes.
Yeah, it's so much that, like, even though Gem knows he has a 7-minute buffer, I don't know if he'll finish if he sees Telethar finish. When he is likely to. Like, I don't know if Gem will keep going.
I mean, it's possible that, like, maybe you could just pretend that the dot done comes, you know, in 7 minutes. But yeah, like, given how much, man, given that Gem still does not have the fire, like, we know, right, that the fire rod's in the first test of Swamp, so he can basically go mode at least like Swamp Palace, but he definitely doesn't know that, right? So,
right.
And for all he knows, that he is gonna have to, he still has to go do Swamp, probably full clear it. He doesn't know where the fire rod is, so that which means he can't do Mothula, and then he doesn't really have, I think, other things to do. Like, he can go back to Pod, right? He can't beat Trinex, so.
Yeah, and Telethar, you know, already on phase 3 here.
Yeah, Telthar's like, oh, I see. Well, okay, he doesn't know in this case. Oh, no, I guess it would have the second chest. I keep thinking of Key Drop. There are only 2 items in Castle Tower. That's the second one. Yeah, so Telethar is, a couple of spins away from, this case, beating Ganon. And, alright, that is Mire down, though, for Gem. So, okay, assuming he does go at least in the first chest of Swamp Palace, that at least will basically put him in go mode. But I mean, Telethar has really done, like, he's played the seed, I think, too, as well as you can pretty much do it for the most part. First one, of course, is the Pearl. First one to beat Blind, which was Green Pendant that we didn't have the hammer for, but we found the small key for some reason, and then got us our Pearl for Saha. And then he was the one who first went into Mire to go get the hammer and the glove for regular Dark World access, but also kind of opened up the rest of the seed. And that's it for Telethar. Get your GGs out in chat for at least a win, a decided win over Gem. We'll in this case see if Gem decides to either finish up, because in order to advance in the brackets, Telethar needs to win over Gem by 7 minutes. So timer is certainly ticking at this point. Well, it's always been ticking, but it feels even more real now. So.
Does look like Gem's continuing for now. So we'll have, you know, the next 7 minutes to wait. 6.5, really.
Yeah. I mean, right, so Gem is basically in Fire Rod Go mode, because he already finished up Mire, and we know that the first chest in Swamp Palace does have the Fire Rod, which Gem has not been to the entirety of the time, and that's basically what he's searching for. Like, yeah.
We know that Gem found Swamp, but like I just feel like he doesn't know where it is. Like I don't know. I can't say that for sure, but it feels that way, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, so speaking of that, we are actually joined by today's outright victor, at least for this match, Telethar. GG's.
GG.
Well played for this seed.
Thanks. It was fun.
Boostless for the first like hour 45 or something like that, or however long it was.
Yeah. I mean, this is the one mode where Flute just is way better than Boots, because like, you don't walk places, you just screen transition places.
Good thing you found the flute, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, fluteless for the entire seat isn't more the issue, but
Yeah.
So what? I briefly heard Gem lost Swamp,
Well,
maybe?
we don't know, because so we had seen Swamp Palace appear in like the cycle of dungeons that he has gone through, and he did drain the dam. However, that being said, like we have not seen him go back into Swamp, like basically any time since he has found it, which makes us think that maybe he has just lost the dungeon, which is kind of important because well, it's also a crystal, but also has the fire rod, which is locking like 3 other dungeons right for him.
Yeah, and the mirror is also there. Not that I don't know if that was necessary, but
Yeah,
it's a nice way
yeah.
to like not completely get screwed every time you take a entrance.
Yeah. I mean, so I think for like the first, I don't know, like hour or whatever, like it just felt like, I don't know, just either mapping out the world or you just had nothing else to, like you didn't have anything. It just looked like to do, like.
Well, that Moon Pearl was ridiculous.
So
Like,
what made you ultimately, I guess, like despite the bullet and like do Thieves Town? I guess just because you had everything, you didn't want to wait for Hammer, or.
yeah, I mean, I had like nothing left in logic. And that's why once I did Thieves Town and got nothing, I was like, okay, well, I gotta continue. Like, I have nothing left. I have bunny walking, I guess, as my only answer. As the thing I was expecting to find was a exit onto Spectacle Rock, right? Or not Spectacle, Mimic Cave, which is my only Light World entrance. That or K45 were my only Light World entrances left. But it turns out it was actually just a bunny walk.
Yeah. We were well, right. I mean, at least compared to John, like, well, you were certainly pretty much the first to everything that was considered major. Yeah, first to beat blinds, first to Saha and got the pearl, like, again, a ridiculous location. And then I guess you prioritized Meyer much faster than Jem did. So you got your hammer and your glove, and then that I think opened up the rest of the stuff for you, right? You ended up getting all the stuff like you got Samaria, and then you got. All the stuff in Ice Palace, you got the bow, and then, you know, did all the GT stuff, and kind of just everything fell in place from there.
Yeah, that was definitely the major difference between the two is that Gem had basically last location Meyer. He went around the world and did basically everything else that opened up with the Pearl.
Looks like this case, that is pretty much a finish for Jem. He did forfeit. Looks like I assume kind of right after the 7-ish minute mark or something, pretty close. But definitely get your G's out in chat for Jem. It was definitely a rough. Yeah, but despite it does look like in this case that he probably just kind of lost track of where Swamp Palace was. Yeah, hopefully we can maybe get these guys in for a chat. But I think, yeah, with that though, congratulations, Telethar. You are the one advancing out of Group B. Is that where you guys were? Or Group C? Maybe it's Group C. Whatever. Like, you're advancing out to the next round of brackets for the Megatational.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, what a what a tournament.
Yeah, what a set of modes in order to basically compete. Alright, looks like we are also joined by Jem. GG's, Jem.
Yeah. GG Telethar.
GG's.
So Telethar, would you attribute your victory today to any of the practices that you did leading up to the tournament race?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I had no idea how to play this mode, and then I did like 7 practice scenes, and then I'm like, okay, I kind of get it now. The mode is actually just completely horrible to race, but it's a kind of fun mode. It's just the problem with racing it is like, oh, you happen to choose like the wrong order of entrances when you were doing Ice Rod Cave area, which means you got swept away before you opened up the Hype Cave entrance, and now you just don't get your boots for an hour. And like stuff like that is just super easy to happen. So the mode is horrible, but it's like
Screw Hamburg for making us play this mode.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe that he picked this mode.
Yeah, who did pick this mode?
A humbug through me.
Humbug through
depicting.
you.
Well, Furious Magic picked this mode. That's definitely the case.
That is also true.
Well, the good news is that you no longer have to play this mode. I think, right? Oh, I guess maybe you might still have to Telethar. I guess depending on.
But I
What
hope he
happens?
has to.
Yeah.
I still can pick this mode.
I mean, nobody's got more practice than you, so clearly it's the right choice.
Yeah, I've got like 6 seeds under my belt, so like that's got to be more than anyone else has played of this mode.
Probably that's more than the people in this Megatational. Like, well, actually no. Well, no, actually, I think Furious Magic. I didn't actually check how many seeds he's played for Insanity, but he was ranked like third, I think third or something, for the season. So I'm gonna assume that he probably played more than like 6. But I guess I haven't checked. But yeah, this was yeah. I don't know how much you. Oh, actually, yeah. So what happened with Swamp Palace? Because I remember seeing Swamp Palace like flash through when you were cycling for one of the connectors,
No.
but. And you just never found
I never
Swamp?
went through the.
Okay.
I never went through the right exit of the race game connector. So I never found it. That's essentially what happened.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, because I think you found everything else. For what it's worth, I
Did-
don't know if that would have been enough.
Did you find Swamp before Pearl?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I found Pearl before it, so at that
Yeah.
point, like the Light World stuff, just I didn't care anymore.
Yeah, and then Mirror's also in Swamp, so like you have to go through that connector to get there.
Mhm. Yeah, I couldn't believe that Pearl. Like
That's such
I-
a stupid moon
I-
pro.
like at some point I just cleared Thieves just for mental health, despite not having the small key. Yeah, just so I have like a dungeon done. And then when it turned into the Pearl, like, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I had Thieves cleared with the small key, but I had not found Saha yet. So like I walked into Saha and got my moon pearl and I was like, oh, yeah, that makes
Yeah, it was the second
total
level.
sense. Stupid game.
Yeah,
It was
this was definitely interesting. I'll keep going.
I was just gonna say, it's just really nice that like the hookshot cave entrance is right there, and it just like you try to bunny walk over to Saha, and you're just like, oh nope, never mind. I'm gone. I gotta make a separate dedicated trip back to East
Yeah.
Darkworld as a bunny.
Yeah, but I don't know, for what it's worth, I think you actually got funneled into that one, to go turn in your pearl, for what it's worth. It seemed like you, I don't know, stumbled upon like the pod connector, and then like, and I think the only maybe location left you had at that point was like you actually got the pearl pretty shortly after Telethar. But it kind of seemed like maybe that wasn't your intention to go check Dark Flute Spot 5, but you ended up getting funneled in there, so. But yeah, I think yeah, the primary difference basically was after you got your pearl, it's something you did more overworld stuff, and then Telethar, but like he went to Meyer first, right? And then he got a bunch of stuff, and then
Yeah, I felt pretty bad
yeah.
about that too. Did you have the big key for Maya when you went in?
Yeah, I went there
Yeah,
immediately
I
after.
figured.
Like
And when I found
went.
it like 20 minutes ago at this point, I was like, oh god, I bet he checked this early. And then you just went to Maya way earlier than I did.
Yeah, basically right after Moon Pearl, I just because it's exit site,
Yeah.
go through Skull Woods, you pop out at Meyer. And I was like, I felt a little bad that I could have had the hammer and the glove earlier, but also whatever.
Yeah, for me it was different. I felt really bad, but I just delayed it because I wanted to find at least a big key or a fire source or anything, and not just have only the 4 items.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty.
Yeah, well, I mean, big congratulations, Telethar. You get to move on, and hopefully next round won't be as wide-ranging in terms of modes. You know, just
Yeah, I hope that next round at least doesn't have feels bad tiebreakers, but
Yeah, I guess we'll see. Yeah, I don't actually know how the seeding stuff works. But I guess Matt versus Tam is playing tonight. And then I assume Dunka's just gonna reshuffle everything, and he'll figure it all out. So
Yeah, I think it's everyone gets ranked with their record and then their loss times, and then tiebreakers are your original seed, something like that.
no,
So
okay,
the 3-0s will be the top seeds, and then the 2-1s will be the bottom seeds, and the more you lost by, the worse.
okay.
Initial,
Looks like
okay, maybe not time. Maybe not time is
initial
relevant, but
rankings. Okay, all right. Record from week 1. Okay, so that means that you're 2-1.
yeah,
Uh,
I'm a bad seed next week.
oh, okay. Well, I guess we'll see. I mean, sometimes just if you're a bad seed, kind of depends on what other people are, and then maybe you'll still be in a decent group, But we'll see. You certainly did very well this round. So best of luck moving forward.
Thanks.
All right. Well, thanks, Jum. I'm sorry about insanity, but apparently this was, this, you helped facilitate this mode. So, maybe, maybe you'll play your next insanity seed like next year or something, or Mystery PogChamp. One of those. You'll have practice.
Yeah, but I'm very practiced now. Yeah, maybe more than I had any intention to ever, but
All right. Catch
Okay,
y'all later.
Yeah,
GG's
All
again.
right. Cool.
Good
Yeah,
luck in your
thanks,
next
guys.
round, Telethar.
Thanks.
I'll be cheering you on.
Thanks. And
Well,
thank you for the comms and the restream.
Yeah, same. Thank you so much, guys.
yeah, thank you, Donka. Thank you, Korek, MV commentator for this seat.
Yeah, it was a lot
You
of
know a
fun.
lot about insanity entrance. It was certainly a lot of fun being here. But you definitely did. I thought you did a really good job. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Dunka, I think that might be it. Yeah, big shout outs to Dunka basically putting all the stuff on. He is a bot master. Tracking was impeccable. Not a single thing went wrong. So, and all along with the restream. So, yeah, and I think right. So there's one more match of that has some impact, which is Tam versus Matt tonight at 8 p.m. I don't think at least there's no official ladder restream. I guess we'll see in there's case that there could be like a side restream for that. But other than that, I think that might be at least it for like that should determine the rest of the brackets for next round. So until then, have a good night. See y'all later.